Chapter 164. Yi Qinghan said to Xiao Yan and Xiao Mo, I can give you 1 million, but I only need information. I also want to erase your memories of tonight. I hope you won't resist. If you don't agree, you can leave now. Erase their memories. Xiao Yan and Xiao Mo's faces turned pale. This was equivalent to handing their lives over to Yi Qinghan and letting him do whatever he wanted. Today's matter is very important to me. I won't trust anyone. Erasing your memories is the best way, Yi Qinghan said coldly. The two sisters looked at each other, gritted their teeth, and nodded solemnly. It seemed that he really needed a large amount of spirit crystals. Otherwise, he wouldn't have agreed to such a request. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and set up a large array that enveloped the entire courtyard. He looked at Xiao Yan and Xiao Mo and asked in a deep voice, I want to know everything about Owl War Star from 8 years ago and where those who escaped went. Also, have you seen Yi Kun? Xiao Yan and Xiao Mo's expressions changed greatly. They sucked in a breath of cold air and stared at Yi Qinghan with flashing eyes. Their bodies trembled slightly. Young master. Xiao Yan looked at Yi Qinghan in shock. Seeing his cold eyes, she quickly lowered her head and said, These years, Owl Dragon region has forbidden anyone from talking about Owl War Star. However, the young masters especially like to talk about it. Therefore, they would come to the heavenly pavilion and open a private room for us. Then, they would talk about these forbidden topics, in other words, you know a lot. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. He knew that the 1 million he spent today was well worth it. Yes. The two sisters said respectfully. Tell me directly. What happened after Yi Qinghan self-destructed? How many Yi clan members escaped from Owl War Star and where they went? Yi Qinghan asked hurriedly. The atmosphere in the room became heavy and oppressive, and Xiao Yan's face was slightly pale. They could only listen to these taboo topics, but they didn't dare speak of them. They were afraid that the experts of the great powers would find out and mercilessly crush them. After Yi Qinghan self-destructed, some of the 100 Dao masters and great martial venerables who were besieging Owl War Star managed to escape. However, half of the Dao masters were killed by the shockwaves. Many of them died, and Owl War Star was completely destroyed. Xiao Yan said in a low voice. The Yi clan was almost annihilated, but in the end, a few people managed to escape. His friend Gu Qinyu took the opportunity to escape, his wife Jian Shui, his brother Yi Kun, and his last disciple Nangong Powu also managed to escape. However, Nangong Powu was besieged by the experts of the 3 major powers and finally disappeared into the merciless ocean. As for Jian Shui, she disappeared after escaping from Owl War Star and never appeared again. What about Yi Kun? Yi Qinghan's eyes emitted cold flames, and his 5 fingers dug into his flesh. He was almost certain that there was a traitor. Yi Kun appeared once, but he disappeared very quickly. Now, no one knows anything about him. Even the young masters of the major clans are wary of him. Now, very few people try to find out about him, Xiao Yan said respectfully. Bastard! Don't let me find you. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse, and his murderous intent had never been so strong. The temperature in the room dropped to the extreme, and the two sisters' faces were filled with terror as if they were facing a supreme expert. Huff! 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 The sound of rapid breathing filled the room. Yi Qinghan slowly stood up. His hair danced wildly in the wind, and the icy flames in his eyes burned one's soul. It was as if he was about to be possessed by a demon. Young master. Xiao Yan was shocked. Yi Qinghan's current appearance clearly showed that he was possessed by his inner demon. She quickly pounced forward and fiercely bit Yi Qinghan's arm, trying to wake him up. However, this bite almost broke her teeth, as if she had bitten a 5th-grade combat weapon. Ouch! Xiao Yan's eyes were filled with tears, and she felt that her row of little white teeth had loosened. Yi Qinghan was also awakened by Xiao Yan's madness, and his face couldn't help but become deathly pale. What happened in the past always caused him to fall into his inner demon. If this matter wasn't dealt with properly, it would definitely become a source of disaster in the future, and he wouldn't be able to cultivate in peace. Thank you. Yi Qinghan's hoarse voice was filled with sorrow and the vicissitudes of life. His gloomy face made one's heart ache, and the sorrow in his eyes seemed to be endless, making one involuntarily want to cry. Xiao Yan and Xiao Mo's hearts raced. They wanted to go up and comfort him, but they didn't dare to go any closer. Yi Qinghan was looking for Yi Kun, but he didn't know that Yi Kun had already left the Xiaolong region. At this moment, his entire body was covered in injuries, but he didn't dare to approach any powerful forces. Instead, he was currently hiding in a narrow mountain range. Yi Kun was currently in an extremely sorry state, as if someone was chasing after him. Bastard, don't let me find out who's behind this, or else I'll definitely kill your entire clan. Yi Kun was much more haggard. His playboy temperament from the past had completely faded away, leaving only iron blood and experience. He was decisive in killing and swift in action. Shio shio shio. Several black-clothed men flashed across the sky, and all of them were great revered martial artists. To deal with someone like Yi Kun, one of them would be enough. However, at this moment, there were so many of them in a team. It seemed that the force behind the person who wanted to kill him was definitely not simple. Surround this mountain range for me. Don't let him escape. As long as we kill him, our mission will be completed. The rank 6 secret technique of the Immortal Gate realm will be easily obtained. Several black-clothed men said in deep voices. Damn it, he's just a little brat. I don't understand why Sir is spending so much effort to deal with him, chasing him from the Xiaolong region all the way here. However, this little bastard is really good at running. His ability to conceal his aura is strong enough. As long as we don't meet him face to face, we won't be able to discover him. One of the black-clothed men said angrily. Of course, we're killing him to silence him. After all, his secret technique was taught to him by Yi Qinghan. It's normal for him to be able to avoid our spiritual sense. However, it doesn't matter. Once we kill him, we'll have an easier time. With the rank 6 secret technique, we'll develop a little and become the region lord of a small star region. Wouldn't that be carefree? Another black-clothed man said with a grin. Yi Kun hid in a cave in the valley, not daring to make any movements. He was afraid that he would alarm these experts. The mountain range stretched endlessly. It was vast and majestic. It was not easy to find a person here. However, it was not easy for Yi Kun to escape either. Fortunately, these people in front of him wanted to take the credit for themselves. They did not report the situation here. They thought that it would be easy for 4 martial venerables to catch a little brat at the Life Palace realm. Their thoughts also gave Yi Kun a chance to escape. After the few of them spread out, they began to push towards the center from all directions. They wanted to chase Yi Kun to the center like a rabbit. Yi Kun gritted his teeth. He had no choice but to run towards the center. At that moment, he did not dare to use any of his true core. His entire body was covered in blood. Soon, the 4 of them chased Yi Kun to the center of the mountain range. At that moment, a very young man came to the outside of the mountain range. He was handsome and his black hair reached his shoulders. He was looking curiously at the 4 martial venerables. They were chasing creatures deep into the mountain range like rabbits. He could not help but be surprised. He used his spiritual sense and discovered that there was another person deep in the mountain range. This person had managed to avoid his spiritual sense at first. Interesting, there's actually someone who can avoid my spiritual sense. The young man stepped into the mountain range and followed a man in black. He was clearly very close, but the man in black was unable to discover him. It had to be said that this person was definitely a top expert of the younger generation. Russell, Yi Kun frantically ran away. His entire body was covered in blood and his eyes were bloodshot. He was directly chased to the center. The four martial venerables grinned coldly. They had finally discovered Yi Kun's figure. "Brat, why aren't you running anymore?" One of the men in black laughed cruelly. He wanted to torture Yi Kun. "Who are you people? I have no enmity with you. Why are you chasing after me?" Yi Kun asked hatefully. "Brat, you won't have the chance to know. Go down and accompany your family." Another man in black did not want to complicate matters and directly attacked to kill Yi Kun. At that moment, the young man quietly appeared in front of everyone and calmly said, "Hold on. Actually, I'm also quite curious. Who is this brat? Who are you people? Why are you chasing after him? Brat, don't meddle in other people's business. This is our Tiandu Palace's matter. If you want to interfere, you should think twice." The men in black were shocked. A person had appeared behind them and they had not noticed. If the person had launched a sneak attack, would they have been able to survive? Tiandu Palace. The Tiandu Palace in the Azure Dragon domain. A dignified Tier 6 sect actually wants to kill an immortal sect and is even relentlessly chasing after them. This makes me even more interested. Furthermore, I am also interested in the background of this little fellow. I want to know how he managed to evade my divine sense in the beginning, said the young man proudly. "Senior, save me. I'm willing to give you the secret technique." Yi Kun gritted his teeth and directly abandoned his bottom line. In order to survive, he was willing to give up everything. "Fellow cultivator, our Tiandu Palace is also following orders. I advise you not to interfere. Think about it, if our Tiandu Palace's palace master is working for them, can you afford to offend him?" The man in black warned in a deep voice. TSK, I'm getting more and more interested. So I want to know what this brat has that's worth you people chasing after him so relentlessly. The young man's aura changed. He slashed out with his sword and directly killed the four strong cultivators. It was incomparably terrifying. Pucci, before the four martial venerables died, their eyes were filled with shock and regret. They should have called for more help. Unfortunately, now that they were dead, they did not even have a burial ground. The young man coldly looked at Yi Kun and coldly asked, "Brat, who are you? Why are they chasing after you?" Yi Kun was shocked by the young man's strength. He had only seen this kind of aura from Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu. He did not expect to encounter it today. "Senior, I'm from the Yi clan of Xiaolong region's Xiaozhan planet. However, the Yi clan has been completely annihilated. As for why they are chasing after me, I'm also confused. It's impossible for the Yi clan to have such an enemy." Yi Kun dispiritedly sat on a rock and sadly said, "The Yi clan, I seem to have heard of it. I think there's someone called Yi Qinghan. Who is he to you?" The young man asked in astonishment. "He's my brother, my blood brother. Unfortunately, he's also dead." "Wah!" Yi Kun wailed loudly and regretfully roared, "Big brother, I've let you down. The Yi clan, I've let you down. I really deserve to die. If I wasn't such a hedonistic person, how could the Yi clan endure such a disaster?" The young man frowned and coldly said, "Why are you crying as a man? Stand up and follow me." The young man and Yi Kun brushed past the Xiaolong region and missed Yi Qinghan by a hair's breadth. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fists at this moment. He had an indescribable anger towards Yi Kun. A hedonistic person had defeated an entire clan and defeated an entire planet. It was simply unforgivable. Chapter 165. In the courtyard, it was dark before dawn. Outside, one couldn't even see one's fingers. A terrifying aura spread into the void. There was no one outside. As time passed, there was some light. The city outside was so beautiful, like a fairyland surrounded by celestial qi. Inside the house, Yi Qinghan took out a yin and yang ring and placed it on the bed. He then sat cross-legged beside the bed to cultivate, waiting for the dawn to come. The parrot galloped in Tianshui city, chirping. I am a lonely divine bird, destined to go against the wind and rain. The next day, Yi Qinghan pushed open the courtyard's doors and was greeted by the sight of Shirgu and Feng Wuxia. The two of them were locked in a fierce battle, neither willing to give way to the other. Are these two idiots done yet? Yi Qinghan muttered to himself. He didn't want to offend either of them here. The two young masters woke up so early. What brings you to my courtyard so early? Yi Qinghan pretended not to know and asked curiously. Fellow Taoist, Wuxia is organizing a small gathering of heroes. I'm here to invite you to join. We can exchange our experiences and information. Maybe we can find the answer you want. Are you willing to join? Feng Wuxia cupped his fists and said. Feng Wuxia, are you sick in the head? This is my brother, not yours. If you want to recruit him, you have to find a good partner. Shirgu glared at Feng Wuxia and scolded angrily. What a joke. I, Feng Wuxia, am willing to be friends with this fellow Taoist. I feel like I've known him for a long time. Why can't I communicate with him? Why can't your friend be my brother? Feng Wuxia asked in disdain. A small gathering of heroes? With your bunch of friends? What else can they talk about besides eating and drinking? Shirgu mocked. Then, he said to Yi Qinghan, Brother Yi, let's go. I'll show you what a real gathering of heroes is. Shirgu and Feng Wuxia were the two most powerful warriors of the younger generation in the Heaven Water City. They had a lot of friends, and each of them occupied half of the city. The entire evil dragon star was under their control. It would be a piece of cake for them to hold a gathering of heroes. Yi Qinghan was speechless as he watched the two of them fight. These two were true experts of the younger generation. Just the brick in Shi Ji's hand was enough to sweep through the entire younger generation. Feng Wuxia was even more ridiculously powerful. His foundation was unknown, and he couldn't afford to offend him. Fellow Taoists, there's no need to argue. Why don't we get together? I'll treat you to a meal today. What do you think? Yi Qinghan said calmly. I am willing to give you some face. I just don't know what this foppish brat is thinking. Feng Wuxia shrugged and smiled eerily. Shi Ji's mouth twitched. He clenched his fists and gripped the golden brick in his hand. He really wanted to smash that golden brick into Feng Wuxia's handsome face so that he would never want to leave the house again. Of course I have to give you some face. I'll just force myself to have a meal with this despicable person. Shirgu didn't back down. Since it's Brother Ye's treat, we won't eat here. I know a new restaurant opened nearby. It's good food and cheap. It's still on sale. I know Brother Yi doesn't lack money, but it's better to save as much as possible. Feng Wuxia gestured with his hand. Yi Qinghan nodded and transmitted his voice to Shirgu. Brother Shi, let's not argue today. I have important things to do. It's not suitable for me to get involved in your argument. Shirgu nodded. He didn't want to make things difficult for Yi Qinghan. The three of them left the Heaven Pavilion. The parrot didn't rest for the entire night, but it was extremely excited. It must have found a treasure. Ao, Master, I accidentally heard a piece of news. It might be something you need. The parrot laughed. What news? Yi Qinghan frowned. I heard a piece of news about Jian Shui. I don't know if she's the person you're looking for. Maybe they have the same name. The parrot opened its mind and shared part of its memory with Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's fingertips trembled. He saw a piece of news that made him excited. Jian Shui, who had disappeared for 8 years, had reappeared. And she was in the Xiaolong region. Let's not talk about her for now. Even if she appears in front of me now, I can't recognize her. I'll look for her when I become a Tao master. Yi Qinghan transmitted his voice. Then, he followed Feng Wuxia and Shirgu to the center of the city. Feng Wuxia and Shirgu called for a group of people to gather at the entrance of Yang restaurant. Most of them were at the pinnacle of the Fate Palace realm and their combat strength was superb. They were the real kings of the younger generation and were not much weaker than Yi Lingyu when they were at the same level. This is a brother I just met. Brother. Brother Yi, ahem. Feng Wuxia coughed. They didn't seem to like to ask for other people's names. They only remembered when they were introduced. Shirgu sneered and said to the group of people he was familiar with, brothers, Yi Qinghuang is my good brother. In the future, when you see him, you see me as you see me. Yi Qinghuang. Who is he? How could he be recognized as a brother by Feng Wuxia and Shirgu at the same time? The two sides looked at each other and stared at Yi Qinghan. When they found that he was only at step 4 of the Tao Insight realm, they guessed that Yi Qinghan had benefited from the fight between the two sides. Everyone showed respect to Shirgu and Feng Wuxia and cupped their fists to show their goodwill. There were 12 people in total. The worst of them was ranked in the top 20 on the Xiao Long star. 4 of them could be ranked in the top 50 of the Xiao Long region. Shirgu and Feng Wuxia were another story. Jinshui City is indeed a place where good and bad people mix together. With these people, they can sweep through a region. Yi Qinghan said secretly. You guys go in first. I have invited 2 other friends. They will wait for a while. Feng Wuxia said lightly. Who can make brother Feng wait for them? Did you invite the little princess of the Lu family, Lu Ning? Quan Batian, a young expert ranked in the top 34 of the Xiao Long region, asked curiously with a rough voice. Yes, Princess Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu will be here. Feng Wuxia said proudly. Being able to invite these 2 people was enough to show that his friends were much better than Shi Ji's. Yi Lingyu. That guy is really abnormal. He sealed his realm and then cultivated. Is he going to be crowned as the Supreme Battle King? Quan Baishan's expression changed. His heart trembled when he mentioned Yi Lingyu. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. His heart was beating wildly. He had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. His fingertips trembled as he thought to himself. Yi Lingyu's realm has been sealed. No wonder my son could easily break through his sea of consciousness. I wonder if he is an unknown factor. Once he recovers his memories, my life will no longer be in my own hands. Yi Qinghan revealed a bitter smile and said to Shirgu, let's wait together. These 2 are king-level experts of the Xiao Long region. We still have to give them some face. 2 idiots. Sealing their realms. What's there to wait for? Shirgu muttered. It seemed that he was very familiar with them. The parrot squinted its eyes and became unusually quiet. At this moment, it also felt that there was a big problem. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning both sealed their realms. Once they broke through the seal, they might be able to recover their lost memories. Master, let's run. The parrot suggested. No rush. Let's wait. They might not be able to break through my memory seal. Yi Qinghan transmitted his voice. Time passed slowly. Yi Qinghan felt tormented. He stared ahead, waiting for Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu to appear. After waiting for less than an incense stick's time, 2 figures appeared, causing Yi Qinghan's pupils to shrink. Yi Lingyu was wearing a white robe. He was as elegant as a god and his long hair draped over his shoulders. He was holding the hand of a 7 or 8-year-old girl. Her face was fair, and she was about the same age as Yi Mingxi. She was a complete beauty. Her long dress fluttered in the wind. The flute in her hand emitted the runes of the great Tao. Yi Lingyu's expression changed. His gaze became deep and profound. At a glance, he looked like a peerless weapon that could not be described. His eyes shone brightly as he stared at Yi Qinghan. The corners of his mouth curled up into a mocking smile. Yi Qinghan looked at Yi Lingyu's expression and knew that things were bad. "Brother Yi, long time no see. I didn't expect to meet you here." Yi Lingyu walked towards Yi Qinghan with the little girl. His robe fluttered in the wind. He looked indescribably dashing. "Lingyu, you know brother Frivolous?" Feng Wuxia was stunned and quickly asked. "Frivolous?" Yi Lingyu seemed to be very dissatisfied with Yi Qinghan's distrust of him back then. Yi Lingyu tampered with his memories. It was a humiliation, so he didn't look friendly. "Lingyu, long time no see. Let's talk later. I'll give you an explanation." "How about that?" Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. He didn't expect both good and bad things to happen at the same time. "Okay, I'll see how you explain it to me," Yi Lingyu said coldly. Shi Ge frowned. It seemed that the relationship between Yi Qinghan and Yi Lingyu wasn't that simple. There might be some enmity between them. Feng Wuxia was a smart person. He naturally saw that the relationship between Yi Lingyu and Yi Qinghan was not simple. He took the initiative to change the topic. He looked down at the little girl and said lovingly, "Yi Jianma, long time no see. Did you miss brother Feng?" Yi Jianma's round eyes were crystal clear. They were like jewels with divine light flowing around them. She looked like a pure land in the mortal world, making people feel peaceful and kind. "Brother Feng, long time no see. Jianma didn't miss you because you didn't need me to miss you." Yi Jianma's voice was like an oriole singing. Her humorous tone made everyone laugh. Especially Shi Ge, who was laughing so hard that he was cramping. Feng Wuxia smiled and shrugged. He turned around and pretended he didn't hear anything. Yi Qinghan looked down at Yi Jianma. He then looked at the flute in her hand. There was a soul-stirring word carved on it. He couldn't help but murmur to himself, "Broken zither and broken flute." Yi Lingyu has a zither called broken zither and this little girl is called broken flute. When the two of them play together, their power is boundless. I didn't expect the inheritor of broken flute to be such an ignorant little girl. Yi Jianma also stared at Yi Qinghan curiously as if she knew him. Chapter 166. Yi Jianma and Yi Qinghan looked at each other emotionlessly. Why are there so many monsters? They are all so young. Is this the start of a glorious era? The parrot mumbled. The glorious era would be filled with heroes. True geniuses would spring up like bamboo shoots after the rain, appearing and falling. The truly invincible warriors would step on countless corpses to reach the peak and lead the human race to glory. Tens of thousands of years was a glorious era. Many people hated that they were born in the wrong era. Some people would rather seal themselves for thousands or even tens of thousands of years in order to appear in the glorious era. Once the glorious era appeared, it would not be strange for a terrifying monster to suddenly appear. While everyone was silent, Lu Ning floated over. She was like a fairy, and every move she made could draw upon the laws to follow her. The moment Yi Qinghan and Lu Ning looked at each other, a bolt of lightning flashed across their eyes. It was extremely cold, touching the deepest part of Lu Ning's heart. Feng Wuxia was shocked. Judging by the two's attitude, they should know Yi Qinghan. He did not understand. Yi Qinghan was only at the fourth step of the Grotto Heaven realm. How could he be related to two emperors in the top 100? Yi Qinghuang should not be his real name. Who is he? Feng Wuxia asked himself, but he could not remember any peerless geniuses that had appeared recently. Lu Ning's memory had not recovered, but it was more or less affected. The moment she saw Yi Qinghan, she knew that they had interacted before, but she could not remember. Who are you? Lu Ning asked in a low voice. Yi Lingyu sneered and said directly, You'll understand when you break out of your sealed state. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. The feeling of not being able to control his own life made his hair stand on end. It was extremely uncomfortable. Feng Wuxia felt that the atmosphere was extremely strange. He originally thought that Yi Qinghan's combat strength was just a little terrifying. Now, it seemed that it was far more than that. Today, we don't care about personal grudges. Let's have a gathering. Please come in. Feng Wuxia gestured. A group of people stepped into the Yang restaurant. The place was crowded with young geniuses everywhere. There were countless life palace realm cultivators who looked like kings. It seemed like they were all disciples in charge of big families. Feng Wuxia and Lu Ning attracted everyone's attention as soon as they entered the restaurant. They all stood up and bowed with their fists. Greetings, lords. All right, sit down, don't be shy. Feng Wuxia nodded in return. He wasn't arrogant at all. Everyone had a good impression of him. Shi Gu despised Feng Wuxia. Feng Wuxia was smooth and slick. He treated everyone like this and didn't want to make enemies with anyone. In the circle of friends in Xiaolong region, he was probably the best. Yi Qinghan was escorted into a private room on the 4th floor. It attracted a lot of attention and discussion. Feng Wuxia, Shi Gu, Yi Lingyu, Lu Ning, and the rest would not accompany the young masters of big families. Yi Qinghan was only at the Grotto Heaven realm. What right did he have to be escorted into a private room? The large private room was divided into 2 tables. The room was spacious and bright. It did not seem crowded even with more than a dozen people. The walls were transparent and the outside world could be seen clearly. It was a picturesque scene that made people happy. Everyone here is a genius from Xiaolong region. I don't think I need to introduce you to each other. Let's have an open discussion today. Don't worry. I believe that everyone here is not a gossipy person. What we are going to talk about today is only known to us. Once word gets out, I promise to find him and give everyone an explanation. Feng Wuxia said in a deep voice. Brother Feng, we are all curious about Brother Ye's identity. Can you enlighten us? A Peak Fate Palace realm cultivator stared at Yi Qinghan and asked curiously. At this moment, except for Yi Lingyu, everyone was staring at Yi Qinghan, including Shi Gu. They were all very curious. Yi Qinghan glanced at everyone's clothes and found that some of them were from families he was familiar with. They had participated in the war years ago and slaughtered many disciples of Yi clan. Su clan, Wang clan, and Zhang clan. Su Yong, Wang Chongsheng, and Zhang Quan had all participated in that war. Although 8 years had passed, how could Yi Qinghan forget that they had rushed into Yi clan to burn, kill, and loot? Yi Qinghan restrained his hostility and pretended not to know. He said indifferently, I am only from a small planet. Even if I tell you, you may not know. That's not necessarily true. Although Owl Dragon domain is very large, there are so many of us. Some of us must have heard of it. Wang Chongsheng narrowed his eyes and was somewhat suspicious of Yi Qinghan's identity. He had participated in the massacre of the Yi clan and was always wary of unfamiliar geniuses with the surname Yi. Moreover, Yi Qinghan and Yi Qinghuang only differed by one character. If he really was a remnant evil, he would have to eliminate him completely. This Yi comes from Owl Fall Star, a subsidiary star of the Stan clan. I am familiar with Stan Zhongquang and several other lords of the Stan clan. If you don't believe me, you can go and ask around, Yi Qinghan indifferently said. Ha ha ha, so you are a fellow Daoist from a subsidiary star of the Stan clan. I have a whole new level of respect for you. A few days ago, I remember that a supreme expert was chased to that place by several hundred Dao sovereigns, but for some reason, they all retreated. I am truly curious. I wonder if Brother Yi can explain what happened there to make so many experts retreat without even using a single move, Feng Wuxia excitedly asked. A savage beast appeared there, the Kuei ox. It was suppressed in the blood prison. Once Owlfall Star was shattered, the Kuei Ox would be released and the entire Owl Dragon domain would be destroyed. Thus, no one dared to attack without permission. Yi Qinghan did not hide anything. This matter could be easily found out with a simple investigation. Moreover, it was even better to spread the news so that no one would keep an eye on Owlfall Star every day. The Kuei Ox. Heavens, how could such an ancient behemoth appear in a small place like Owlfall Star? Everyone was shocked and speechless. Yi Qinghan shook his head. The existence that could suppress the Kuei Ox had to be a powerful expert of the divine martial arts realm. Moreover, it must have been so long ago that it was impossible to deduce which divine martial arts realm mighty expert it was. It was normal that he did not know. Brother Yi, I heard that Owlfall Star is your second hometown. I wonder where your first hometown is? Yi Lingyu purposely asked with a smile. Yi Qinghan's fingertips moved slightly. He coldly raised his head and looked at Yi Lingyu. He secretly transmitted a warning, Yi Lingyu, are you forcing me to be your enemy? Humph, when you changed my memory, didn't you think of this day? So what if I force you to be my enemy? Yi Lingyu still held a grudge against him and disdainfully retorted. What do you want? Yi Qinghan asked in a deep voice. Fight with me and use your blood and bones as my stepping stone to strengthen my Taoist heart. Yi Lingyu transmitted a cold voice. Yi Qinghan was silent. Yi Lingyu's realm was close to the Tao Master realm. His combat strength was more terrifying than most experts at the early stage of the Tao Master realm. In addition, he and Yi Jianma played the broken zither waning moon together. Even if Yi Qinghan broke through the shackles of the Tao Insight realm and entered the Fate Palace realm, he would be no match for Yi Lingyu. If he fought with Yi Lingyu, he would definitely die. Give me 3 months and I will satisfy you. What do you think? Yi Qinghan asked seriously. Okay. 3 months it is. If you don't show up at that time, don't blame me for turning against you. I will make the entire Owlfall domain crazy. Yi Lingyu's cold voice was like a fierce knife stabbing into Yi Qinghan's mind. The atmosphere in the room became extremely oppressive. Yi Lingyu wanted to prove his Tao and suppress Yi Qinghan. He wanted to strengthen his Taoist heart, but he did not want to betray him. It was just that the persistence of cultivation was a little crazy. I will pay you back what I owe you. You risked your life to come to Owlfall Domain for the information of that year. I will fulfill your wish. Yi Lingyu sneered and took the initiative to break the silence in the room. Yi Qinghuang, you and I have known each other for so many years. How does it feel to be expelled from your sect? As your senior brother, I feel sorry for you. Yi Lingyu said with a mocking tone and fabricated an identity for Yi Qinghan. Ah. Brother Qinghuang is a member of Qianya Valley. Feng Wuxia looked at Yi Qinghan in surprise and could not believe it. So he is an abandoned disciple of Qianya Valley. No wonder Brother Yi opposed him as soon as you saw him. It seems like he did something shameful to be expelled from Qianya Valley. Zhang Quan looked at Yi Qinghan with disdain and sneered. It is not necessarily something shameful. It is just that he did not understand the general trend and was stupid. I will not say more about such a junior brother. You are on your own now. Yi Lingyu took Yi Qinghan's identity with just a few words, which made Yi Qinghan exhale a turbid breath. Ahem, Brother Qinghuang looks like he is only 18 or 19 years old. He is still young, so it is understandable that he did something wrong. Let's change the topic. Feng Wuxia cleared his throat to break the awkward silence and said, Fellow cultivators, the king conferring competition 13 years ago has come to an end, but the Supreme Battle Monarch competition has yet to begin. It has been 300 years since the Supreme Battle Monarch competition. I'm sure you're all interested. Supreme Battle Monarch. One of the Supreme Battle Monarchs of Shaolong region is dead and 2 are missing. It is time to give our generation a chance. Wang Chang's eyes flashed with excitement. As far as I know, it will be soon. The Supreme Battle Monarch competition will start very soon. I heard that the Region Lord will come out of seclusion this time. Once the Supreme Battle Monarch is born, he will accept disciples to revitalize Shaolong region. Feng Wuxia was also very excited at this moment. He was very interested in the Supreme Battle Monarch title. Yi Qinghan moved his finger. The Region Lord had actually appeared. An immortal expert had not appeared in the world for more than 1,000 years. Even the Battle of Shaozhanqing back then did not draw him out, so why would he appear now? Could it be that the experts of the human race were about to start the real Supreme Human Sovereign training program? Yi Qinghan's death is too unfortunate. Time did not wait for him. If he was still alive, how could we have gotten the position of the Region Lord's disciple? Shi Gu said regretfully. Humph, that kind of treacherous and selfish person. Even in death, he was not willing to hand over the God-martial cannon. He would rather let such a supreme treasure disappear into the river of history than let the human race prosper. Letting him become the Region Lord's disciple will only harm Shaolong region. Zhang Quan disdainfully mocked. Ha ha ha, brother Zhang Quan, only a few of you from the younger generation dared to participate in the Battle of Owl Warstar. I wonder if you have any inside information that you can share with us. Yi Lingyu's eyes flashed as he intentionally asked. Ha ha ha, if you want to talk about inside information, no one in the younger generation knows better than us. Unfortunately, the elders of the clan have forbidden us from talking about it, Wang Chong laughed arrogantly. Chapter 167. The atmosphere in the private room became strange. Even Feng Wuxia was staring at Zhang Quan and the others. In the past few years, they had been very wary of the battle on Owl War Star, unwilling to speak of it. On one hand, it was because their clan had forbidden them to speak of it, and on the other hand, it was because they were afraid that there were surviving members of the Yi clan who would seek revenge. 8 years had passed, and the Yi clan had long since been submerged in the river of history. Owl War Star was like hell, and not even Grand Marshal sovereigns were willing to enter. Many people had already forgotten about Owl War Star, but many mysteries still remained. For example, it had been too easy to break through Owl War Star. Just who had destroyed the Yi clan star array? In order to show off their abilities, the younger generation had constantly investigated, but alas, they had never finished what they had started. Brother Wang, Brother Zhang, can you dispel our doubts today? I believe that it's not just them who are interested. Brother Wuxia, Brother Shi Gu, and I are all interested. This mystery can be solved with a snap of the finger, but it's stuck in our throats. We can't eat or sleep in peace. Yi Lingyu was well aware of what Yi Qinghan wanted to know, so he had taken the initiative to help him investigate. This could be considered repaying him for his guidance in the past. This. Wang Chongqing grimaced. He looked at Zhang Quan and Su Yong, and seeing them nod, he whispered, in truth, we also don't know who betrayed the Yi clan, but we can be sure that it was one of Yi Qinghan's most important people. I heard that after Yi Qinghan obtained the God Martial Cannon, he was even on guard against his wife and brother, unwilling to reveal this vital secret art. This caused everyone to turn their backs on him, so it was only natural that Owl War Star was broken through. Yi Lingyu faintly smiled, his voice filled with derision and mockery. Was Yi Qinghan petty? If he could give guidance to an outsider like him, this meant that he cherished talent, much less his wife and brother. It was just that some people had lost their minds to greed. Yi Qinghan had heard Wang Chongqing mention Jian Shui and Yi Kun, but not Nangong Powu. He was almost certain that Nangong Powu had not betrayed the Yi clan. The true culprit was either Jian Shui or Yi Kun. Or both of them had betrayed him. Brother Wang is indeed knowledgeable. This is the first time I've heard of this. Otherwise, I would have thought that Yi Qinghan was a great hero who cherished talent and wished for the glory of the human race. Yi Lingyu mocked. Bullshit hero. This kind of shameless villain deserves to be punished by everyone. He would rather die than hand over the divine martial imperial codex. The Yi clan was also destroyed by him. This kind of supreme treasure disappeared along with his self-destruction. This is a huge loss to the human clan. He is the sinner of the human clan. Su Yong said coldly. What a joke. If others asked you for the Su family's ultimate secret technique, would you give it to them? If you don't give it to them, a group of bandits will come and wipe out your Su family. Instead, they will blame you for being shameless and despicable and not thinking for the human race. Are you happy? A bunch of shameless bitches. You still have the face to boast shamelessly here. Shirgu mocked disdainfully. Little Shirtu, you already said that they are a group of shameless bitches. How could they be shameless? What is there that can't be said? The parrot's words almost caused everyone to choke to death. You're seeking death. Zhang Quan and the others were unwilling to argue with Shirgu, so they could only settle the score with the parrot, wanting to crush it to death. Fuck, you really are a bunch of shameless bitches. The person cursing you is right here. Open your dog eyes and take a good look. Motherfucker, you still dare to glare at me. Do you think I'm easy to bully? The parrot angrily cursed. Shirgu, Feng Wuxia was completely speechless. He hurriedly stood between them to prevent them from killing each other. He helplessly said, fellow Taoists, please don't get angry. It's just a parrot that's learning to speak. Why are you taking it so seriously? How can this kind of evil creature eat at the same table as us? And this Yi Qinghuang is just an abandoned disciple of Tianya Valley. His cultivation is only at the Grotto Heaven realm. I can crush him to death with one hand. I truly don't understand why Brother Feng invited him to come with us. He's simply a killjoy, Wang Chongqing angrily said. TCH, you three evil creatures actually have the face to criticize this great divine bird. I feel ashamed eating in the same room as you. The parrot disdainfully retorted. A cold smile appeared on Yi Qinghan's lips as he stared at Wang Chongqing's group. Eating with you people truly is a disgrace to my status. Fuck, kid, don't be so ungrateful. Letting you in today is giving Brother Feng and Brother Shi face. Otherwise, what right do you have to enter? Do you think you're amazing just because you're treating? Who knows how many people want to treat someone like you to a meal but can't even find a way. Today, Brother Wang dispelled our doubts, but not only are you not grateful, you even let your evil creature curse us. You're simply not putting us in your eyes. Quang Baishan's veins bulged as he angrily glared at Yi Qinghan, his eyes brimming with killing intent. I was the one who cursed first. If you have a problem, come at me. If you want to fight, I'll keep you company. Shirgu slapped the brick and stood up, his face filled with disdain as he looked at Wang Chongqing's group. Shi Ji's combat strength was already close to the top 10. With this brick, he would have no problem entering the top 5. How could Wang Chongqing's group be his match? If they worked together, they might be able to fight him. Seeing Shirgu standing in front of them, they immediately stopped making trouble. Damn, a bunch of trash. Only a bird like you would be willing to make friends with anyone. That's why you've ruined my good mood today. Shirgu coldly glared at Feng Wuxia and took the opportunity to attack. Feng Wuxia's mouth twitched as he clenched his fists. His battle robe fluttered without any wind, and a cold, icy flame surged out of his eyes. Shirgu, don't think that I don't dare to kill you. Next time, think before you speak. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that I can control my hand. Feng Wuxia was furious as he coldly scolded. Is that so? If you have the guts, let's go out of the city and fight one-on-one. If my brick doesn't flatten your face, I'll take a detour when I see you in the future. Shirgu arrogantly shouted. Good. Good. You have the guts. Today, I'll show you what the Feng family's secret technique is. I'll show you what the top 10 young experts of Xiaolong region are. Feng Wuxia was flustered and exasperated. They had been fighting since they were young, and there was no clear winner between them. Today, he must vent his anger. Go, go. That's exactly what I want. As long as you don't cry after being beaten by me like you did when you were 6 years old, I'll be happy. Shirgu loudly mocked. Fuck you. You bitch, how dare you mention it? Shameless. If you didn't ask your big brother, that bastard, to plot against me, do you think you can defeat me? Feng Wuxia went berserk and almost flipped the room. Originally, it was a matter between the parrot and Wang Chongsheng, but it suddenly became a matter between Shirgu and Feng Wuxia. The scene became a little strange. Yi Lingyu's lips curled into a mocking smile, but he didn't interrupt. Instead, he quietly picked up food for Yi Jianma, as if it had nothing to do with him. Yi Jianma acted as if it had nothing to do with her. She ate the delicious food desperately like a glutton. The two experts were quarreling, but she was reluctant to put down her chopsticks and look up. Quang Batian, Wang Chongsheng, and the others were angry. They stared coldly at Yi Qinghan and the parrot. Once they left the city and Shirgu and Yi Qinghan fought, they were ready to take the opportunity to kill Yi Qinghan as well. However, several of Shi Ji's friends stood on Yi Qinghan's side and looked at him disdainfully. Obviously, they would not sit back and watch. Since you want to fight, let's go out together. Today, I'll let Brother Yi know whose friends are the real bad friends. Shirgu was disdainful. He lifted his foot and kicked the door open heroically. He was holding a brick in his hand, but he looked like a hooligan. Yi Qinghan sneered. Today, he might be able to take advantage of the chaos to kill these three guys. Shameless bitches, today, I, the divine bird, will show you the power of a divine beast. The parrot was valiant and high-spirited. It stood proudly on Yi Qinghan's shoulder like an ever-victorious general, looking at Quang Batian and the others with disdain. They were all invincible experts. Even if they were not crowned kings, they were close. Under normal circumstances, who would dare to mock them like this? Today, they were being scolded by a bird. None of them could stand it. Therefore, a group of people took out their weapons and rushed out of Tianshui city. Fighting was not allowed in the city. The aftermath of a Life Palace experts fight was enough to destroy some buildings and implicate the innocent. This was a taboo. Whoever dared to violate this taboo would be taken down by the enforcers in the city, regardless of whether they were crowned kings or from wealthy families. Not only would they be beaten up, but their families would also have to pay hundreds of thousands of spiritual crystals as ransom. Feng Wuxia and Shirgu took the lead and rushed out of Yeyang restaurant. It was obvious that they were going to fight. Immediately, they attracted the attention of the crowd, who followed them out. 1 told 10, and 10 told 100. The two's friends also rushed out of Tianshui city. It was obvious that they wanted to join in the fight as well. This was the time to show the benefits of having more friends. Feng Wuxia's side had at least a few hundred people, while Shi Ji's side had less than 100. However, they were united and courageous enough. They were not afraid at all. They glared at each other, ready to fight at any moment. Outside the city, there was a sea of people. It had been many years since the last time young talents gathered together for a fight. Moreover, this time, two super talents were leading the fight. Even the young talents from other cities were rushing over. The cloud-piercing boats danced in the sky. Accidents on the boats kept happening. From time to time, there would be collisions. The cloud-piercing boats would explode like fireworks, dyeing the sky red. More and more people from both sides gathered. Soon, there were more than 1,000 people. The situation was getting out of control. Lu Ning frowned and looked at Yi Lingyu, hoping that he could intervene. Unfortunately, Yi Lingyu wanted to turn this fight upside down. How could he stop them? Ha ha ha, there isn't enough space. Let's go to the plains 300 miles away to fight. Life or death, the one who escapes is a bastard. The one who loses will have to respectfully greet the winner in the future. Shirgu laughed wildly. He did not care about the small number of people on his side. Are you two done messing around? If you really fight, people will definitely die. Do you want to cause chaos on Owl Dragon Planet? Lu Ning reminded in a low voice. Women should not interfere in men's business. This is a private matter between us. It has nothing to do with the family. Shirgu said coldly. That's right. We can't just let today's matter go like this. Since we've already come out, I won't be able to eat or sleep in peace if we don't decide a winner. Feng Wuxia was so angry that he was dizzy. If he gave in now, he would have to lower his aura when they met in the future. Making him compromise with Shirgu was harder than ascending to the heavens. Everyone's blood was boiling. They couldn't wait to fight. Both sides didn't like each other for a day or two. Shirgu and Feng Wuxia took the lead and rushed forward to find a bigger battlefield. Quan Batian, Wang Chongsheng, and the others stared at Yi Qinghan. At the same time, Yi Qinghan was also staring at them. Armor transformation. Merge. Swish. The god-slaying eagle and Yi Qinghan merged into one. Their aura was monstrous. The demon dragon saber's baleful aura spread out. It was as if it had swallowed countless lives. It was eerie and terrifying. Chapter 168. Hua. The wings spread out, filling the sky with murderous intent. A terrifying aura spread out for 100 miles, and a demonic blade could steal people's souls. Everyone was aggressive. A battle between high-level cultivators had been turned into a brawl between hooligans by Shirgu. A group of so-called geniuses were shouting and cursing at each other. Fuck you, I've been pissed at you for a long time. Today, I'll beat your face up. Fuck, that's what I wanted to say to you. Just you wait, when Brother Shirgu says we'll fight, you'll be the first one I'll fight. Don't run if you have the guts. I'm your grandson if I run. Yi Qinghan's forehead was filled with black lines. Were all fights between the younger generation like this? Feng Wuxia, I'll flatten your face today so you can show off all day. Fuck. What's the use of talking so much? I'll have a good fight with you today. Shirgu took the lead and shouted, looking like a hooligan. Feng Wuxia did not have the temperament of a rich young master and cursed. Boundless heaven and earth, invincible brick. Divine martial covers the sky, suppress all enemies. Hua. The golden brick's majesty was monstrous. It kept growing bigger and bigger, and the patterns of the great Tao filled the sky. It covered the sky and the sun as it smashed towards the opponent. Boom, boom, boom. The brick actually triggered the roar of the great Tao. Tens of thousands of laws gathered, and the pressure made everyone's expression change. They felt as if their legs were filled with lead. It was already good enough that they could move, let alone fly. Suppress. Shirgu shouted and used all his strength. The brick collapsed like the sky, pressing down on hundreds of people until they could not breathe. They half knelt on the ground and resisted with all their might. If they could not resist, they would definitely be crushed into dust. Crack. Ah. The ground shattered, and blood and bones flew everywhere. Everyone screamed and tried to hack at the brick, but the huge brick was like a sixth-grade divine weapon. Not only was it not pushed back, but it was also as if it had suffered a heavy blow and was sent flying while coughing up blood. Feng Wuxia was furious. He did not expect Shirgu to attack without warning. Not only did he attack him, but he also attacked those with weaker cultivations. Wind, clouds fly. Wind profound, heed my command. Wind blade, appear. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, violent gales erupted, and the wind was cold and sharp. It shattered the void and enveloped all the experts on Shi Ji's side. The wind blades were extremely sharp, comparable to a top-notch fourth-grade spirit weapon. They were indestructible, and instantly shattered everyone's defenses. Ah! Holy shit! The people on Shi Ji's side were driven mad. Their clothes were torn, and the bloody wounds were so deep that their bones could be seen. Everyone frantically tried to block, but how could they block all of the wind blades? Fuck your ancestors! Shi Gu was furious. He formed a seal with both of his palms, and the huge golden brick formed a huge defensive barrier. The golden light was dazzling, and the laws intertwined, instantly blocking the wind blades dozens of meters away. One attacking and one defending, it was deafening. Break! The wind Upanishad congregated into a wind dragon, crazily dashing forward. Suppress! The tens of thousands of bricks merged into one and transformed into a heavenly wind dragon. Its aura was monstrous, and it almost cracked the earth. The Owl Dragon Star was a famous star in the Owl Dragon region. Its great Tao was firm and stable, and it was even more tyrannical than the Owl War Star. Even great martial revered experts could not shatter it in a short time. Now, cracks had appeared, and it showed how terrifying the aftermath of the two's attacks were. These two people were worthy of being in the top 10 of the entire Owl Dragon region. Together with their foundation, they did not lose to any ordinary Tao Master expert. They attacked each other, and their fighting power was crazy. In order not to hurt each other, they kept fleeing into the void. When the people below saw that the two people had left, they immediately unleashed their aura. They looked at each other as if they had seen their father's murderer. They raised their weapons and rushed forward. Sword chi and saber radiance danced wildly, shattering the void. Blood splattered everywhere, and instantly dyed the earth red. The heroes danced wildly, and no one cared about anything else. They attacked each other as they were very familiar with each other. They had been fighting for more than 10 years, and they could not wait to kill each other. This was a good opportunity. There were sneak attackers and overbearing attackers. Anyway, the winner was the king, and the loser was the bandit. They were still shouting with blood spurting out of their mouths. It was extremely cruel. More than 10 people surrounded one person. Everyone's fighting power was about the same, so how could they withstand such an attack? Immediately, the ground was dyed red with blood. They fell to the ground with heavy injuries and lost their fighting power. They screamed miserably, but the crowd did not kill them all. They turned around and rushed to the other person. Some body refiners felt that swords and sabers were a hindrance, so they rushed up with their bare hands. 3 to 5 people surrounded one person, punching and kicking. Some people's noses were broken, and they screamed miserably. Lu Ning was speechless. Was this really a battle between powerful Fate Palace experts? What was the difference between this and a fight between mortals? There were very few people on Shi Ji's side, and they suffered a great loss. However, they were ferocious and almost fought with their lives on the line. Although everyone was injured, at least both sides suffered. Yi Qinghan's eyes shot out icy flames, and his azure dragon arm wrapped around the devil dragon saber. Seeing Quang Batian, Wang Chongsheng, and the other 3 staring at him, he could not help but grin, revealing a row of sinister teeth. Swoosh! The devil dragon saber flashed with a cold light, and a strong aura spread out. Yi Qinghan turned into a sharp sword and rushed into the crowd like a ferocious tiger. He did not show any mercy. Yi Qinghan raised his hand and slashed down, causing blood to splatter everywhere. At close range, Yi Qinghan's attack was unparalleled. The demon dragon saber absorbed all of the enemy's vitality upon contact, and the sharp Shen Yuan stirred up their vitality, instantly suppressing a person. Those who block me will die. Get lost. Yi Qinghan's target was very clear, Wang Chongsheng, and Quang Batian, who were at the back. They were the most hostile to him, and there was a blood feud between them. As for Quang Batian, he was courting death by making an enemy out of him. Yi Qinghan was like a meat grinder on the battlefield, and his huge wings swept everyone away. His murderous aura caused everyone's Dao hearts to become restless, and their guts to be torn apart. Whoosh! Whoosh! Damn! Who is this? He's only at the 4th step of the Grotto Heaven realm, and he's participating in a group fight between Fate Palace realm masters. How ferocious! Damn, this is spectacular. Should we go and help? They're outnumbered, and they're not at a disadvantage. This makes my blood boil. The crowd shouted excitedly, and some of them felt their blood boiling. They wanted to rush into the battlefield and fight for 300 rounds. Blood rain was falling from the sky, as if the sky was red to begin with. Corpses kept falling from the sky. Even if they were not killed, they would fall to their deaths. Even if they were not killed, they would be crippled. Yi Qinghan finally got close to the 4 people. Although he could not use the extreme dragon god steps, he could use soul snatch. This move had never been seen before, and the only one who knew about it was Xian Wuyu. Soul snatch. An ear-piercing and soul-stirring voice resounded through the void, shocking the hearts and souls of those who were miles away and causing them to freeze on the spot. Boom! Quang Batian was confident in his cultivation realm and his terrifying mortal body. He chose to face Yi Qinghan head-on. Unfortunately, he didn't realize that Yi Qinghan's arms were glowing with a golden light that was filled with the profound mysteries of the great Tao. The power he released was enough to shake mountains, let alone a human body. Puff! Quang Batian's entire arm was lacerated, and his true yuan surged into his body, almost shattering all his bones and tendons. Blood spurted out of his 7 orifices, and his 2-meter-tall body was sent flying into the distance like a broken kite. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, and even Feng Wuxia was shocked. He was caught off guard by Shi Ji's attack. Good. Brother Frivolous, torture this motley crew to death for me. Kill. If anyone dies, it's on me. Shi Ji's blood was boiling, and he smashed the brick at Feng Wuxia. The great Tao shook, and even the mountains were flattened. The people on Shi Ji's side were excited. Yi Qinghan had taken the lead and charged into the enemy's group, disrupting their formation and weakening their morale. On the other hand, Shi Ji's side's morale was soaring and their blood was boiling. How could they not seize the opportunity? Counterattack. Kill these bastards. Fuck your mother. I've been waiting for this day for so long. I've been bullied by you guys for so many years. Today, I'll fight till the end. I'll make you kneel down and call me Grandpa. These words came out of the mouth of a group of experts, and it was a bit of a spoilsport. Hundreds of people were covered in blood, and they would crawl back up after falling to the ground. Brother Yi, it will be too late if you don't stop them now. Many have already died, and tomorrow, the planet will be in chaos. Lu Ning said anxiously. Stop them? Do you think I'm the supreme king of the younger generation? Yi Lingyu rolled his eyes, and he didn't care about the deaths of these people. Zhang Quan and Su Yong chased after Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's madness reached the heavens, and he was practically chasing after someone and beating them until they were crippled. His entire body was covered in wounds, but he didn't seem to care. Wang Chang's body was cracked, and he was powerless to resist. Die! Yi Qinghan roared, and he turned into a ferocious saber and slashed at Wang Chongsheng. No! Wang Chongsheng screamed in fear, and he raised his sword to block the demon dragon saber. Kacha, the 4th-grade spiritual sword shattered, and Wang Chongsheng was severely injured. He coughed out blood, and his divine sense was in chaos. Let's see if your skin is thick enough to defend against my divine fire. Hua! The parrot charged out from Yi Qinghan's shoulder and spat out a mouthful of fire that engulfed Wang Chongsheng. The fire it spat out had already surpassed the limits of ordinary fire, and it instantly ignited Wang Chongqing's vigorous essence blood and spread throughout his body. Wang Chongqing let out a shrill scream, and the fire on his body could not be extinguished no matter how hard he tried. Soon, even his flesh was burning, causing one's hair to stand on end. The parrot no longer looked like a pet. "Shameless slut, this divine bird grandpa will purify you." The parrot had succeeded in its attack, and it took the chance to spit out another mouthful of fire, burning Wang Chongqing into a pile of ash that scattered with the wind. Good. Good kill. This group of powerful elites didn't care at all. If they were enemies, then so be it. This was especially true for people like Wang Chongqing. They believed that they were superior because they had participated in the battle on Owl War Planet, and they had truly angered many people. When Yi Qinghan saw that Wang Chongqing was dead, he suddenly turned and glared at Su Yong and Zhang Quan. His terrifying eyes were like the endless underworld, suffused with the cycle of reincarnation and a killing intent so thick that it was tangible. Su Yong and Zhang Quan felt as if their blood had stopped flowing. They felt as if they were being stared at by a martial supremacy. Their muscles tensed up and stiffened. They didn't even have the courage to run away, let alone kill Yi Qinghan. Chapter 169. Thump, thump, thump. Yi Qinghan's eyes made Su Yong and Zhang Quan's Taoist hearts restless, as if they would collapse at any time. No matter who won or lost today's battle, they would never step into the realm of Tao Master. That is, unless Yi Qinghan died at their hands. Haha, so what if I scold you for being shameless? Do you think I'm easy to bully? My master is not easy to bully. Come and beat me if you dare. The parrot stood on Yi Qinghan's shoulder and laughed loudly. In the name of my saber, I'll send you to hell. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse, as if he was a monster from the depths of hell. No one dared to resist. Brother Qingquang, no. I apologize to you. I apologize to you on behalf of them. I've lost today's battle. Feng Wuxia was shocked and no longer cared about his reputation. If they continued to fight, Yi Qinghan would kill them all. No, this battle has nothing to do with you or me. It's a battle between me and them. I'll kill anyone who wants to kill me. Today, anyone can live, but these two won't. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Kill them. They're just two good-for-nothings. Since you've joined the battle, you should be prepared to die. Shegu held the brick and blocked Feng Wuxia's path. The two of them were evenly matched and neither could do anything to the other. Feng Wuxia, do you think our battle is a game? This battle was started by your people, so let their deaths be the end. Without the realm of Tao Master, Feng Wuxia was stopped by Shegu. Yi Lingyu stood aside and watched the show. Lu Ning's realm was still sealed. No one could stop Yi Qinghan's madness. Hundreds of families in Owl Dragon Star were witnessing the same scene. Spies were rushing madly to the cultivation place of the family leaders or the sect leaders' peak. This is bad. Eldest young master is fighting with Feng Wuxia and Shiji's people. There are countless casualties. This is bad. Eldest senior brother is fighting with Shegu and Feng Wuxia's people. There are many casualties. All the big disciples of the younger generation of the clans and sects above the 4th rank participated in the war, which affected the entire Xiaolong region. At the same time, one or even several Tao masters rushed out from all the big clans and sects on the Owl Dragon Star. The power of heaven and earth was forcefully sucked away. Hundreds of miles away from the heavenly water city, the power that was strong enough to break the bones of Fate Palace warriors fell from the sky. Shegu and Feng Wuxia had to retreat to the ground. They looked at the numerous Tao masters coming at them with grim faces. Yi Qinghan didn't care that much. Taking advantage of Su Yong and Zhang Quan's momentary lapse in concentration, he swiped his saber horizontally. Blood splattered everywhere, and the two heads fell to the ground along with the corpses. You're courting death. Boom boom boom, the chief elder of the Su family struck out with his palm. Hundreds of Fate Palace warriors were sent flying while coughing up blood. The giant hand covered Yi Qinghan, suppressing the laws around him. Yi Qinghan's hair stood on end and he retreated frantically. However, he couldn't fight against a Tao master. Without using the Dragon God steps, he couldn't move fast enough. Seeing that the giant hand was about to crush him, Yi Qinghan had to gather all the strength in his body and use Soul Snatch to slash at his opponent. Ignorant Junior. Die. The giant hand grabbed the Devil Dragon Saber and the evil chi entered his body. The chief elder of the Su family was shocked. He punched at Yi Qinghan's body. His robe fluttered in the wind. Yi Qinghan's facial muscles became ferocious. His chi and blood were blocked. He spat out a mouthful of essence blood and the Devil Dragon Saber fell out of his hand. His body flew backward like a kite with a broken string. The gap between their realms was too big. A Tao master could kill hundreds of Fate Palace warriors in a second. They were not at the same level. Moreover, Yi Qinghan was only at the Grotto Heaven realm. The force of heaven and the Dharma in the surroundings were sucked dry. Spiritual chi couldn't be mobilized. A Tao master could kill Yi Qinghan with a crushing blow. Yi Qinghan felt cold and his pupils contracted. It was impossible for him to use the Dragon God steps now. I can't die. Break. Yi Qinghan was unwilling to give up. He struggled madly to avoid the fatal blow. Unfortunately, the space around him was confined by a Tao master. Damn it. I haven't become the divine emperor of all beasts yet. I can't die. The parrot screamed and roared in horror. How dare you? Shirgu threw out the golden brick. It emitted a golden light and broke through the force of heaven and smashed toward the chief elder of the Su family. Boom! The golden brick and the chief elder's genuine vitality collided. The sky roared and the earth trembled. The space was torn apart. The brick was smashed away, but Shiji's soul was also severely injured. He coughed up blood and fainted. He fell heavily on the ground and dust filled the air. The chief elder of the Su family's fist exploded as if he had hit a soldering iron. He screamed and retreated. He looked at Yi Qinghan with a ferocious face. The golden brick flew back into Shiji's sea of consciousness automatically. It hovered in the air and helped Shirgu to repair his divine sense. Yi Qinghan fell to the ground. He held Shirgu and rushed back, away from the Tao master who was rushing toward them. Old man Su. How dare you hurt a descendant of the Shi family? I'll kill you. Shiji's father was furious. Seeing his son injured, he picked up his hammer and rushed toward the chief elder of the Su family. Boom, 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 Shiji's father's hammer was not an ordinary weapon. It was activated by genuine vitality and the law attached to it turned into lightning. It tore apart the sky and smashed toward the chief elder of the Su family. The chief elder of the Su family had goosebumps. He had to pull out his sword and stab at the hammer. The sound of the collision was deafening. The weaker Fate Palace realm warriors coughed up blood and knelt down. The warriors who were watching the show ran away. They did not dare to watch the show anymore. The chief elder of the Su family, Su Xingtian's fist was already in great pain from the impact of the golden brick. After being hit by the hammer, golden blood spurted out. His skin was torn and his flesh was torn. He retreated hundreds of meters before he could stabilize himself. He could not help but roar, I want to kill that bastard, not your son. Your son attacked me first. Shi Fenghai, do you want to start a war with the Su family on behalf of the Shi family? Let's start a war then. Do you think I'm afraid of you? You shameless guy. A peak Tao master attacked my son. Even if we report this to the chief, the Shi family will not be afraid. Shi Fenghai was furious and his hammer was even more violent. Are you blind? Did I attack your son? He hit me with the brick first. Su Xingtian was trembling with anger. The golden bones in his right hand were exposed. He pointed at Shi Fenghai and roared. Anyway, I don't care. You hurt my son. You have to give me an explanation. Shi Haifeng did not let go of this point. He was tit for tat. Su Xingtian, then, hundreds of Dao masters gathered. There were beginner, intermediate, and peak Dao masters. However, no Grand Marshal Venerable showed up. The younger generation was miserable. Almost everyone had more than 10 wounds on their bodies. At least 100 young warriors died tragically and no less than 300 were seriously injured. This was a heavy blow to Xiao Longxing. Who started the war? Get out here. Seeing Zhang Quan's dismembered body, the head of the Zhang family was furious. He glared at Yi Qinghan, wanting nothing more than to tear him to pieces and grind his bones to dust. The parrot hit on Yi Qinghan's shoulder and did not dare to be arrogant. It muttered, "Master, let's run away. He's too strong. We're no match for him." Yi Qinghan was indifferent. He was bathed in blood. Shi Jiyi's face was as white as paper. His divine sense had been severely injured. The golden brick controlled by his divine sense could not fight against a peak Dao master. Shi Gu had risked his life to save him. A warm current flowed through his heart. "Feng Wuxia, my son came with you. He was fighting for you, but he died in the hands of this beast. If you don't kill him today, I'll see how you face Zhang Quan and the others. How can you still have the face to call your friends?" Zhang Haitao, the master of the Zhang family, said coldly and angrily as he pointed at Yi Qinghan. Feng Wuxia's eyes were burning with anger. He was not the one who had caused this incident. It was Zhang Quan and Wang Chongsheng who had shamelessly brought up the incident from back then to show off. They had no sense of shame at all and were scolded by Shi Gu. The parrot had only interjected a few words and that was why the battle had started. If one were to talk about the culprits, it was the three of them. Clan head Zhang, it's best if you clearly investigate before you speak. Today, it was I who stood up for the three of them that caused this battle. If not for your son, Zhang Quan, Wang Chongsheng, and Quang Batian, would I have fought with Shi Gu to this extent? It's fine if you don't thank me, but how can you accuse me of not being worthy of being their brother in front of so many people? How can I endure this? Feng Wuxia asked coldly as he clenched his fists. Zhang Haitao's breath froze. He did not expect that it was his son who started the war. We want to know the reason. Also, hand over the murderers. We can't let this go. Some people were furious at the tragic death of their family's geniuses. They gathered around, and most of their eyes were fixed on Yi Qinghan. Shi Gu frowned. The tearing pain in his soul made his body twitch and his face contort. Yi Qinghan slapped 3 major acupuncture points in his sea of consciousness, causing him to fall into a deep sleep. Afterward, a powerful martial sovereign soul poured into his sea of consciousness to help repair his soul. Shi Haifeng raised an eyebrow. He had also seen that Shi Gu had fought with Su Xingtian for Yi Qinghan's sake, and Yi Qinghan had not disappointed him in the end. The moment he escaped, he had taken Shi Gu away. Now that Yi Qinghan had saved Shi Gu, he did not object. Wuxia, you and Shi Gu have been fighting since childhood, but this has not affected the relationship between our two clans. Today, tell us the truth. Just what was the reason for this war? If it was caused by my son, then I have nothing to say and will naturally give everyone an explanation. But if it wasn't, then Su Xingtian, you must give me an explanation today. Shi Haifeng coldly said. Yi Lingyu and fellow Daoist Lu Ning are the clearest about this matter. I am the one involved, so I can't say anything. However, you should believe their words. Feng Wuxia coldly said. Everyone immediately looked at Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu. They found that only they and Yi Jianma were not injured. They immediately frowned. Your Highness Lu Ning, Yi Lingyu, please tell us the reason and process of today's war. This old man hopes that you will not be biased. We want fairness. We don't want the dead to be wronged. Zhang Haidao asked in a deep voice. Yi Lingyu was still on Yi Qinghan's side. Even if he wanted to win against Yi Qinghan, it was a matter between him and Yi Qinghan. Looking at Zhang Haidao's aggressive appearance, he could not help but curl his lips and said, I'm afraid the truth of this matter will disappoint you. Chapter 170. Yi Lingyu mocked and looked at Zhang Haidao, not giving him any face. Zhang Haidao's face sank. He found that Lu Ning also had the same expression and his mood immediately turned bad. Wang Chong, Zhang Quan, and the others discussed the matter of Owl Warstar and insulted Yi Qinghan. Shi Ge couldn't stand by and watch, so he scolded them. Soon after, this fellow Taoist's pet interjected. In the end, your good son didn't find the right person, insisting that the parrot and this fellow Taoist were bullying him, so he began to shout at the parrot and the parrot. This led to a great battle between Shi Ge and Feng Wuxia over their brothers. Yi Lingyu's words were concise and to the point. He then turned to look at Lu Ning and asked calmly, Your Highness Lu Ning, is what I said fair? Lu Ning coldly said, It's fair. That's what happened. The fault lies with Wang Chong, Su Yong, Zhang Quan, and Quang Batian. The four of them believed themselves to be infallible and deserved to die. Unfortunately, they implicated so many others. The faces of the Wang clan, Su clan, and Zhang clan, as well as Quang Batian's master, were green and purple. They were so disgusted that they wanted to vomit. However, Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning stood in the middle and didn't favor anyone. No one doubted their words. At this moment, the happiest person was Shi Haifeng. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning had testified for Shi Ge and now he had an excuse to cause trouble for Su Xingtian. Su Xingtian, you old man, did you hear that? This is your Su Yong's fault. You beat my son, you must give me an explanation today. Su Xingtian was burning with anger. His family's genius had been killed and now he had to give an explanation. Ha ha ha, Shi Haifeng, do you think that the Shi clan can cover the sky with one hand? You don't seem to understand the right and wrong of today's matter. Wang Chongsheng and Su Yong were talking about Owl War Star, but they didn't want to talk about it, right? Also, even if they scolded Yi Qinghan, what did it have to do with Shi Ge and this evil beast? They were the ones who scolded Wang Chongsheng and the others first. The ones in the wrong should be Shi Ge and this beast. The beast didn't understand, but its master should understand, right? Instead of apologizing, its master had killed Wang Chongsheng and the others. This person should be the one at fault. Am I right? Su Xingtian was a wily old fox. With just a few words, he pushed all the blame onto Yi Qinghan. That's right. It should be this bastard's fault. Shi Ge has made a small mistake, but he is now heavily injured. He has atoned for his sins, but this little bastard's life must be buried with the dead child. All the clans and sects that had lost geniuses blamed Yi Qinghan one after another. They wanted nothing more than to grind Yi Qinghan's bones to dust. Shi Ge had the support of the Shi family, so no one wanted to be on bad terms with the Shi family. However, Yi Qinghan was different. He was a character who had suddenly appeared. If they killed him, it would be equivalent to settling this matter. In order to give an explanation to the dead, the experts of the older generation did not want to involve the realm of Tao Master. Therefore, no one was willing to speak up for Yi Qinghan. However, Shi Haifeng was not happy. His son was heavily injured by Su Xingtian. He did not get any benefits, but he still had to share part of the responsibility. Damn it, Su Xingtian, you are too shameless. You are getting more and more shameless. Did you injure my son? You did not compensate or apologize, but pushed part of the responsibility onto my son. Do you think I, Shi Haifeng, am easy to bully? Your son attacked me first. Su Xingtian roared angrily. He was on the verge of going berserk. I did not see it. I only saw you, a peak Dao master, attack my son. Shi Haifeng's aura was even stronger, and his voice was even louder. Everyone was speechless. They all felt wronged for Su Xingtian. His family had lost a genius, and now he had a bad reputation of attacking the younger generation. At this moment, Yi Lingyu also realized that Yi Qinghan must be the scapegoat. These old guys would not let him go. However, he still hoped to fight head-on and suppress Yi Qinghan to prove his Taoist heart. How could he allow Yi Qinghan to die in the hands of these old foxes? Yi Qinghan, find a chance to escape. I will block for you for 10 breaths. Whether you can escape depends on your luck. If you can escape, I will give you 3 months to go to Stan Star. We will fight there. Yi Lingyu transmitted his voice coldly. 10 breaths. Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. Not to mention 10 breaths, even 30 minutes would be useless. How could a Tao master escape in front of hundreds of Dao masters? What's more, Yi Lingyu could not block for 10 breaths. No need. You should protect yourself. Whether I can survive today depends on my luck. Yi Qinghan coldly refused Yi Lingyu's proposal. Today was a desperate situation. The Shi family could not go against all the rich and powerful families of Owl Dragon Star for him. Feng Wuxia frowned. Looking at Yi Qinghan's calm face, he gritted his teeth and said in a low voice, "This has nothing to do with Brother Yi. It is between us." Quan Batian and the others wanted to kill Brother Yi, but they were killed instead. It can only be said that they were not skilled enough. Moreover, the others were not killed by Brother Yi. You can't put all the blame on him alone, right? Feng Wuxia, are you a friend of Zhang Quan and the others? Most of the people who died participated in this war because of you. You don't speak for them, but speak for the murderer. You are ridiculous. Su Xingtian scolded angrily. I am telling the truth. I know who is right and who is wrong. At least I will not speak against my conscience. What's more, if it were not for Su Yong and the others, would I quarrel with Shi Go like this? They would not have died in battle. Feng Wuxia shouted angrily. Su Xingtian was speechless. The reason we can fight today is because of the brotherhood in our hearts. Although I know that Su Yong and the others were wrong, I still stood up for them without hesitation. If I really did not care about them, would I be crazy? Would I do such a thankless thing? Today, my brothers died in battle. Do you think I am comfortable? This is a battlefield where there is no winner or loser. What we are fighting for is our pride. I can't push the blame to an unrelated person just because one of my brothers died. Perhaps you can turn a blind eye, but I can't. Feng Wuxia was imposing. After all, he was one of the top 10 existences in Owl Dragon Star region. His bearing alone was enough to win everyone's approval. Then you mean that this Yi guy killed Su Yong, Wang Chongsheng, Zhang Quan, and the others for nothing? Zhang Haidao asked coldly. Feng Wuxia was silent. No matter how he answered this question, he would be wrong. If he killed for nothing, it would chill the hearts of his brothers. If he did not kill for nothing, then he would kill Yi Qinghan. Then you mean that if your people want to kill me, I have to stand here and wait for them to kill me? Yi Qinghan asked disdainfully. You bastard, how dare you talk back? I asked you to stop, but you killed them in front of me. You are simply courting death. If I don't kill you today, how can I face the world? Su Xingtian was furious. He reached out to kill Yi Qinghan. Shi Go was still in Yi Qinghan's hands. How could Shi Haifeng let him do it? He rushed to the middle and was about to swing his sledgehammer. Su Xingtian, if you want to take revenge, that's your business. But you have to give me an explanation first. What do you want to say about hurting my son? Shi Haifeng asked coldly. Su Xingtian. Fuck, you can't reason with unreasonable people. Shi Haifeng was not reasonable at all. He did not want to say anything at all. He just wanted to grasp the fact that Shi Gu was injured by Su Xingtian. What do you want? What explanation do you want? Su Xingtian was furious and asked coldly. I don't want anything. My son is only at the peak of the Fate Palace realm. He was seriously injured by a peak Dao master. If his Dao heart is affected in the future, how can he enter the immortal realm? I was counting on him to lead the Shi family to glory. Now that my hope is gone, what do you think I want? Shi Haifeng said coldly. Fuck you. Do you have any shame? There are at least 8, if not 10, people like Shi Gu, who are even more terrifyingly talented than him. Have you ever seen anyone break through to the Immortal Gate realm? Do you want me to compensate you with an expert of the Immortal realm? Su Xingtian was about to go crazy. If Shi Haifeng continued to pester him endlessly, he would definitely detonate the bomb. Today, I have hit you too hard. I don't want to be entangled with you anymore. I will compensate you with 1 million medium-grade spiritual herbs. Su Xingtian threw out a universe ring and said coldly. At the peak of the sky, beyond the clouds, a man in black was facing the strong wind of the universe and looking down at the owl dragon star. His face was full of disdain. The word kill on his shoulder was soul-stirring. The soul devourer Tachi on his back was emitting a murderous aura that shook the heavens. Feng Sha. No one expected him to be here watching the show. He wanted to test Yi Qinghan's combat power. He did not expect this group of old men to come and mess up his plan. Human nature is so sad. Feng Sha took a step and landed on a mountain peak. He stood proudly in the wind. His clothes fluttered like a lonely blade, silent. Yi Qinghan did not realize that Feng Sha was not too far away. At this moment, he was in despair. The extreme Dao Divine Dragon Step was the fastest in the world, but it could not be faster than a Dao Sovereign. The cloud-piercing ship could not be faster than a Dao Sovereign in a short period of time. No matter what he did, there was no chance. He clenched his fist and smiled bitterly. I did not expect to die here today. Divine Bird, if you have the chance, leave here and return to the Owl Dragon Star. Tell them not to wait for me. Train Emperor Yi well. He will not come out until he reaches the Celestial Gate. Once he comes out, help me kill those bastards from the Owl Dragon region. Master, are you giving up? I can't bear to leave you. The parrot was sad. After all these years, he still had feelings. There is no chance. I can't escape. Yi Qinghan shook his head. People who had died once were indifferent to life and death. As expected, Shi Haifeng took the universe ring. He did not want to make things difficult for Su Xingtian. He turned around and wanted to take Shi Gu away. Shi Gu was still unconscious. Yi Qinghan smiled and handed Shi Gu to Shi Haifeng. I am sorry. Even if I want to protect you, I can't. Little brother, you are on your own. Shi Haifeng took Shi Gu and said helplessly. No worries. Life and death in the universe is up to fate. Yi Qinghan said lightly. Shi Haifeng smiled bitterly and flew out of the crowd with Shi Gu. Chapter 171. Yi Lingyu frowned. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to give up on escaping. This was not his character at all. In fact, Yi Lingyu was thinking from the wrong perspective. With his cultivation at the peak of the Fate Palace realm and his own foundation, he might have a chance to escape. On the other hand, Yi Qinghan was only at the 4th step of the Grotto Heaven realm and his foundation was the Extreme Dragon Step. Once he used it, he might not be able to escape. Once that happened, he would definitely be recognized. By then, the great revered martial artist would be alerted. How could Yi Lingyu expect him to escape from a great revered martial artist? Brother, he won't be able to escape. Should we intervene? Yi Jianma raised her head and a pure light shot out from her eyes. A crisp voice exploded in Yi Lingyu's mind. Yi Lingyu was shocked. What Yi Jianma said was a foregone conclusion. Even if he intervened, Yi Qinghan would not be able to escape. Moreover, Yi Jianma might be implicated. Yi Lingyu shook his head, indicating that he had given up. Yi Qinghan revealed a faint smile and said to Feng Wuxia, "Brother Feng, thank you for speaking up for me. I don't have anything to repay you, so I'll give this spiritual pet to you." A ray of golden light flew out from Yi Qinghan's forehead and the great path law descended. The contract between Yi Qinghan and the parrot was immediately broken. "Master. I am also unyielding. I will not escape. If you die, it will be meaningless for me to live alone." The parrot did not want to leave. Its little claws grabbed Yi Qinghan's clothes and it lay on his shoulder motionlessly. Yi Qinghan smiled. He did not expect the parrot to say such a thing. "Your words are enough. Go. Remember that I still have a task for you. Do you want me to die unwillingly?" "Humph, half of the reason for the internal strife on Owl Dragon Planet is this evil creature. Don't expect it to survive. Since it is loyal to you, I will fulfill its wish." Su Xingtian said coldly. "You're an idiot. Shameless bastard, you're only showing off because of your cultivation. If we were at the same level, my master would be able to kill you with just a fart. Bitch, your whole family are bitches. Even if the human race goes extinct, your whole family won't be able to rise." The parrot's eyes flashed with the will to die. It was not afraid anymore. It shook its fat body and scolded Su Xingtian. Su Xingtian's face turned purple and his whole body trembled. He didn't want to waste any more time. He waved his big hand and smashed it towards Yi Qinghan. The space was squeezed out of shape. Yi Qinghan's entire body was distorted. Even his azure dragon arm had been shattered. His flesh and blood splattered everywhere as his golden bones cracked. He couldn't even put up a simple counterattack. That was the difference between a Tao Master and a Fate Palace warrior. He could kill a Fate Palace warrior at close range with the help of his physical body, but he could do nothing to a Tao Master. Crack, Su Xingtian's bones, which were far more powerful than a fourth-rank spirit weapon, shattered. Su Xingtian's aura swept across the heavens and the earth, intimidating the heavens and the earth. The giant hand that covered the sky contained the profound meaning of the great Tao. It descended from the sky and crushed Yi Qinghan's leg bones, forcing him to kneel on the ground. Boom! The demon dragon saber was stabbed into the ground, causing dust to fly. Yi Qinghan held the saber's hilt tightly. He would rather die than kneel. He stood firm and let his bones break. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and his sea of consciousness was spinning rapidly. "Go to hell." Su Xingtian's face was full of sarcasm. He didn't care about Yi Qinghan's unyielding attitude. His giant hand broke the heavens and in the blink of an eye, it was above Yi Qinghan's head. All the Tao Masters were watching the show. No one wanted to intervene. Some of them even wanted to crush Yi Qinghan personally. Lu Ning frowned. The more she looked at Yi Qinghan, the more familiar he looked. The blood in her body was roaring and she wanted to reopen the seal. Just as Yi Qinghan was about to be crushed, a dragon's roar resounded through the sky. A gloomy and cold light shone through the 9 heavens. Evil Qi filled the area within 1,000 miles of Tianshui City. The terrifying aura made hundreds of Tao Masters' hair stand on end and they all stepped back. Plop, thousands of young experts knelt down in fear. Feng Wuxia and Yi Lingyu's faces suddenly changed. They followed the Tao Masters and stepped back. Whoosh! A cold light streaked across Yi Qinghan's shoulder, directly shattering Su Xingtian's sky-covering giant hand. The long saber full of murderous intent didn't diminish in the slightest. It pierced through the void and directly penetrated Su Xingtian's body. Puff! Ah! Su Xingtian screamed. His blood stained the sky. His body was driven by the long saber and directly stabbed into a mountain in the distance. The evil qi intertwined with Su Xingtian's body and instantly suppressed half of his vitality. Su Xingtian's body was nailed to the top of the mountain and he could not move. Everyone was horrified. They looked up at the young man in black who was slowly coming from behind. He was like a supreme murderous weapon without any emotion. He defeated a peak Dao master with one move. He was even more terrifying than an ordinary great martial venerable. Feng Sha took action. He stepped into the crowd and the word "kill" on his shoulder stunned everyone. It was as if he was going to kill his way out of the sky. Everyone was shocked in an instant. The murderous aura was too strong. The Dao masters swallowed their saliva and did not dare to say a word. Most of the young experts coughed up blood and fainted on the spot. A group of people knelt on the ground and did not dare to raise their heads. Feng Sha was like a supreme fierce beast coming out of an endless blood prison. Their Taoist hearts were shattered. Feng Wuxia and Yi Lingyu took Yi Jianma and stepped back crazily. Lu Ning broke the seal in an instant and returned to her peak state. She had become a half-step Dao master. Her will rushed through the sea of consciousness and found Yi Qinghan in an instant. Her pupils shrank. Great Martial Venerable. A peerless Great Martial Venerable. He was definitely not weaker than Yi Qinghan. Everyone was stunned. When did such a person appear in Shaolong territory? The crazy murderous aura rushed to the sky and startled the Great Martial Venerables on Shaolong Star. In the blink of an eye, at least a dozen terrifying auras of Great Martial Venerables were awakened and rushed to the void. Several Great Martial Venerables had reached the end of their lives and had not appeared in the world for a long time. However, they were awakened by Feng Sha's murderous aura. Who are you? Why did you attack the experts of Shaolong Star? Lu Su, the master of the Lu family, arrived and looked at Feng Sha. He felt as if he was facing Yi Qinghan. His heart sank. You don't deserve to know. Maybe you can choose to survive 3 of my attacks and I'll tell you, Feng Sha said coldly. Lu Su's aura stagnated and his face darkened. A ray of murderous light shot out from his eyes. They were both Great Martial Venerables. Even though Feng Sha was the king of Great Martial Venerables, he could not humiliate his opponent like this. My friend, you are too arrogant. I can tell that you are not from Shaolong territory by looking at your clothes. As the saying goes, a strong dragon cannot defeat a snake in its own territory. Aren't you afraid of being suppressed by Shaolong territory? A terrifying aura shrouded the center of the battlefield. It contained an ancient aura as if it had been asleep for a long time. Feng Sha took another step forward and stood beside Yi Qinghan. He looked at Yi Qinghan and found that he was not seriously injured. He did not ask anything and raised his eyes to look at an old man who was approaching from afar. His skin was wrinkled like the bark of a 1,000-year-old tree. It was obvious that he was an expert who had reached the end of his life. So what if I am arrogant? You can bully others with your power, but I can bully you with my numbers. If you are not convinced, let's fight. Feng Sha waved his hand and pulled out the soul-devouring Tachi from the peak of the mountain and returned to his hand. Su Xingtian's corpse was like a dried corpse that had been dead for tens of thousands of years. Even his soul did not escape. His death was extremely horrifying. That's right. A bunch of idiots. You only know how to use your cultivation realm to bully others. So what if you have more people? The parrot finally caught its breath and did not care anymore. Anyway, it was a divine bird that had died once. Why would it be afraid of dying again? Yi Qinghan withdrew his aura and swallowed a spirit pill to quickly heal his injured body. He held a piece of upper-rank spirit crystal in his hand and it was shrinking at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. With the upper-rank spirit crystal and a large amount of spirit medicine, Yi Qinghan quickly recovered to his peak state. He squinted his eyes and looked at the dozen martial revered experts who had appeared. Killing intent flashed across his eyes. Half of the experts here had participated in the Battle of Shaozhanqing. This martial revered expert was called Xiahou Yuan. Back then, in order to break through his limit and enter the immortal sect, he was the one who killed the most ruthlessly. He only wanted Yi Qinghan to hand over the divine martial imperial codex. Lu Su and the others looked coldly at Yi Qinghan and Feng Sha. The messaging talisman in their hands quickly sent out messages. It was obvious that they were calling for their friends. Leave this place quickly. There will be more and more martial revered experts. Yi Qinghan reminded in a deep voice. You leave first. If I want to leave, even the region lord of Xiaolong region wouldn't dare to stop me. Feng Sha said disdainfully. Although I don't know who you are, I will definitely repay your kindness in the future. Yi Qinghan squinted his eyes and looked at the word kill on Feng Sha's shoulder. He knew that this was definitely a terrifying organization that had been passed down since the Desolate Era. He didn't know, but the region lord of the immortal sect should know. Feng Sha had no worries. Even if he was surrounded by 100 martial revered experts, he would still have a chance to escape. No need. It's just a coincidence. I don't care about Xiaolong region. You can leave. Feng Sha's face was filled with arrogance, as if he looked down on Xiaolong region. Everyone's expression turned ugly. It was fine if he looked down on Xiaolong region, but he didn't care about the entire Xiaolong region. Which super-organization did he come from? Yi Qinghan had almost recovered. If he stayed now, he would only tie up the other party's hands and feet. He cupped his fists and said, I will repay your kindness in the future. I also hope that you can leave as soon as possible. There are some people in Xiaolong region who are colluding with each other. They don't care about their reputation. More than 100 martial revered experts often surround and attack one person. No matter how strong a person was, it was impossible to fight against 100 experts of the same level, let alone martial revered experts. When Yi Qinghan cultivated the divine martial imperial code, he was also forced to self-destruct. Warrior, thank you for saving my life. I know that Tianshui city has a treasure that is sealed in the forbidden area of the city lord's mansion. It will be very helpful to your cultivation. Go and snatch it. The parrot said loudly. Lu Su was shocked. The city lord's mansion was his Lu family's territory. There was indeed a treasure sealed in the forbidden area. Even he couldn't use it. How did the parrot know about it? Evil creature, you are courting death. Lu Su shouted angrily. His pressure rushed towards Yi Qinghan and the parrot. Unfortunately, Feng Sha snorted coldly and the pressure immediately dispersed. What treasure? Feng Sha looked at the parrot curiously. It seemed that he couldn't tell what species the parrot was. Blood evil essence. Its evil aura is much stronger than Xiaolong's. If you can get it, your battle power will definitely double. The parrot didn't hesitate to reveal the background of the Lu family's most valuable treasure. Chapter 172. Blood Demon Essence. Its murderous aura is much thicker than Owl War Stars. If you can get it, your battle power will double. The parrot did not hesitate to reveal the Lu family's most valuable treasure. Feng Sha's eyes lit up. Blood Demon Essence was a treasure. It was the crystallization of the murderous aura. It was definitely a divine treasure between the 6th and 5th grade. It was very beneficial to his murderous aura and murderous aura cultivation. It was no worse than swallowing a 6th grade divine pill. Really? Feng Sha stared at the parrot curiously. Such a treasure was obviously sealed. How did the parrot know? This divine bird is the 10,000 beasts' divine emperor. How can I lie? What's more, you saved my life. If you don't believe me, look at his stupid face. It's all green. How can it be fake? The parrot pointed at Lu Su, whose face was glowing green. Yi Qinghan smiled and cupped his fists. Trust it. If you can't find the blood demon essence when you get there, I'll compensate you with 2 in 100 years. All right. You can go. Feng Sha's eyes finally showed some emotion. It seemed that he was very interested in the blood demon essence. Yi Qinghan looked at Lu Su's gloomy face and laughed coldly. He summoned his cloud-piercing boat and flew into the sky, escaping without a trace. Feng Sha blocked more than 10 martial honorables with his saber. Whoever dared to move would be attacked by him. More than 10 martial honorables surrounded Feng Sha but did not attack. They were obviously waiting for reinforcements. However, they did not want to just sit around and wait. Lu Ning, bring a group of people and kill that stupid bird and its owner. If they escape, I'll hold you responsible. Lu Su shouted coldly. Lu Ning's face changed. Now that she had fully activated her cultivation, she had recovered her memories. She knew that the one who had escaped was none other than the Honorable War King Yi Qinghan from 8 years ago. The man she loved wanted her to lead a group of people to kill Yi Qinghan, however, Lu Ning only hesitated for a moment. Then, she led a group of strong cultivators on Owl Dragon Star to ride the cloud-piercing boat into the sky. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Hundreds of cloud-piercing boats broke through the sky at an extremely fast speed. However, Feng Sha did not even look at them. If Yi Qinghan could not even deal with this group of juniors, he was not worthy of Feng Sha's help. The white clouds in the void rolled backward, and the Milky Way flowed in reverse. The friction of the cloud-piercing boat created flames that illuminated the Xiaolong region. Yi Qinghan's cloud-piercing boat had been personally given to him by Stan Khan. It was much faster than Lu Ning's cloud-piercing boat, and the quality was also much better. However, there were too many people. They came from all directions and were about to surround him. The parrot's eyelids twitched, but it didn't cry out in fear of disturbing Yi Qinghan. The corners of Yi Qinghan's lips curled up in a mocking smile. When he had piloted the cloud-piercing ship through the various galaxies, they had still been in their mother's wombs. He was still lacking when it came to fighting with him. Sit. I am going to crash. Yi Qinghan's eyes shone with a cold light. He looked at the cloud-piercing boat in front of him and pressed the speed button without hesitation. Whoosh. The cloud-piercing boat turned into a rainbow, dragging a fire dragon with it as it charged at the other party. The Zhang family's experts were riding a cloud-piercing boat. The outside was covered with true essence. They were originally very confident. However, when they saw Yi Qinghan driving the cloud-piercing boat like a madman, their hair stood on end. Their eyes were filled with shock. Quick! Dodge! God-slaying eagle, defend the cloud-piercing boat. In the pilot's cabin, Yi Qinghan smiled disdainfully. His divine sense locked onto the cloud-piercing boat. Yi Qinghan's cloud-piercing boat was covered in a layer of black scales. It was completely covered by the God-slaying eagle's true essence. It could block at least 30% of the impact. Boom! 2 cloud-piercing boats worth millions collided in the Star River. One of them was broken in half. The corpses on it were instantly burned to dust. The astral winds blew and the corpses disappeared without a trace. When enemies met on a narrow path, the brave would emerge victorious. If the 2 cloud-piercing boats collided head-on, the most that would happen was that both sides would be severely injured. The quality of the collision wouldn't change the overall situation. But, how could the Zhang family dare to collide? They wanted to change their course and face Yi Qinghan. How could they not be smashed apart? Yi Qinghan pierced through one of the cloud-piercing boats and flew away. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They felt their hands and feet turn cold. As they watched the Zhang family's cloud-piercing boat quickly burn into nothingness, they didn't dare to run in front of Yi Qinghan to stop him. Lu Ning's face was cold and indifferent. She chased after Yi Qinghan, not giving him any face. Yi Lingyu followed unhurriedly in the middle. He didn't help Yi Qinghan or Lu Ning. "Big brother, what are you doing?" Yi Jianma looked at Yi Lingyu with curiosity. "Protect him and leave this place." Yi Lingyu's eyes flashed with a gentle light as he lightly said. "You seem to know him. I feel that this person is very strange." Yi Jianma propped up her chin with her small hand and said doubtfully. "Strange in what way?" "His soul, body, and realm are all different. It's like a powerhouse took over his body and was reborn." Yi Jianma's words revealed Yi Qinghan's situation, causing Yi Lingyu's brows to twitch. He quickly said, "Don't tell anyone about him. Do you understand?" "Not even master." "I know. Big brother, you think so highly of him, and he's someone who took over his body and was reborn. This person must be Yi Qinghan, Supreme Yi Qinghan, who died in battle on Owl Warstar, right?" Yi Jianma quickly deduced Yi Qinghan's true identity. Yi Lingyu smiled. As expected, he couldn't hide anything from Yi Jianma. "I've already divined that he won't face a great calamity. These people shouldn't be able to stop him." The broken flute in Yi Jianma's hand disappeared, and 2 black copper coins appeared. They were emitting a gloomy light, and the patterns on them were like the great path of heaven's mystery. Almost nothing could be hidden from this little girl. "Don't touch these 2 copper coins. Don't touch them again." Yi Lingyu's expression changed, and his tone became dignified. Yi Jianma stuck out her tongue and quickly put away the copper coins. She sat aside obediently. If Yi Qinghan saw these 2 copper coins, he would be able to confirm Yi Jianma's identity in an instant. On Owl Dragon Star, more and more great martial venerables gathered. Feng Sha didn't care at all. His aura exploded, and a monstrous evil spirit filled the air. His murderous intent shocked everyone. He took a step forward and instantly defeated the joint force of the crowd. "You want to go against me with just the likes of you? Think carefully before you act. Don't say that I didn't warn you. If you annoy me, Owl Dragon Star will be the second Owl War Star." Feng Sha glanced at Lu Su and the others coldly and said arrogantly, "I'm going to get the evil blood essence. If you want to stop me, ask your region master to come here personally. Let's see if he dares to attack me." Feng Sha's evil spirit soared into the sky, and his murderous intent filled the sky. He slashed with his saber, and it seemed to tear the world apart. Several great martial venerables in front of him retreated to the sides. He took advantage of the situation and stepped into Tianshui City, and went straight to the forbidden area behind the city master's mansion. Feng Sha's eyes were like torches, and he glanced at the forbidden area. He couldn't help but be curious. He had already entered the back mountain, but he hadn't found the evil blood essence. How did the parrot know? Lu Su and the others hurried over and shouted, "What are you doing? This is the ancestral land of the Lu family. Please leave immediately." "What are you talking about? Treasures belong to those who are fated to get them. Didn't you say that Yi Qinghan is just a selfish villain? He would rather let the godly martial emperor's code disappear in the river of history than benefit the world. He is a sinner of the human race. You hid the evil blood essence and didn't let me use it. Aren't you a sinner of the human race?" Feng Sha raised his eyebrows and scolded in a cold voice. Lu Su's face turned purple, and his body trembled with anger. He was speechless. "Get out of my way. Don't force me to attack, or I'll raze Tianshui City to the ground." Feng Sha's murderous intent rushed out of his body, and it was extremely dense. The flowers and plants in the back mountain withered instantly. It was terrifying. Lu Su's hands and feet were cold. He looked at the indifferent Feng Sha and knew that he didn't care about human lives. If he angered him, Tianshui City would really be razed to the ground. Tianshui City was an important property of the Lu family. If it was razed, the loss would be immeasurable. Gulp, Lu Su swallowed a mouthful of saliva and let Feng Sha wreak havoc in the ancestral land, looking for the blood evil essence. The cold light in Feng Sha's eyes almost condensed into a solid substance. Wherever his eyes passed, the mountain rocks cracked. After a long time, he stared at a tombstone. He reached out his hand and poured out his vital essence, shattering the array on the tombstone. He pulled the tombstone out from the ground, and the evil chi rushed out in all directions, suppressing the vitality of heaven and earth. Countless practitioners in Tianshui City fell into a coma. Even the ordinary Tao masters were trembling, as if they were being stared at by a terrifying evil spirit. Feng Sha was not surprised, but happy. He reached out his hand to grab the tombstone. He grabbed a black iron box. The iron box had already decayed, and it disappeared with a light shake. A fist-sized black stone was emitting a light that could steal people's souls. The strong corrosiveness caused the bones of Feng Sha's hand to decay instantly, and the eerie white bones were exposed. This was no longer an ordinary blood evil essence. It had been hidden in the ancestral grave of the Lu family for many years. It had already evolved into a level 6 blood evil essence, which was enough to kill a great martial venerable. Ha ha ha, the theory of cause and effect is indeed true. The cause that I have planted, I have now obtained the effect that I have now. Feng Sha's face was ferocious. The piercing pain from his arm and soul did not make him let go. Instead, he used the bones of his hand to tightly hold on to the blood evil essence. His entire person was like a creature that had crawled out of hell. Lu Su was furious. He had a body full of battle power, but he did not dare to act wantonly. On one hand, Feng Sha was too terrifying. On the other hand, he did not want to destroy Tianshui City. When he killed the Yi family, he did not show any mercy. That was because he did not feel any heartache when the Yi family was destroyed. However, how could Tianshui City be the same? This is a treasure left behind by my Lu family's ancestors. You are robbing me. No matter what organization you are from, I will not let you take away the blood evil essence today. You better put down the blood evil essence immediately and I will pretend that nothing happened today. Lu Su shouted in a deep voice. Feng Sha coldly stared at Lu Su. This blood evil essence was very important to his cultivation. He had searched for it for many years, but he could not find it. Now that he had found it, how could he let it go? What if I insist on taking it? Feng Sha coldly asked. Lu Su was furious. It had always been his Lu family that stole other people's treasures. He did not expect that today, it would be stolen by someone else, and in such a forceful manner. Chapter 173. In Tianshui City, in the forbidden area behind the city master's residence, Feng Sha's right arm was covered in blood and bones. Evil chi filled the air and intertwined around his body. Together with his terrifying aura and the word kill embroidered on his shoulder, he suppressed more than 10 martial revered experts on the spot. What if I insist on taking it? A disdainful expression was filled with sarcasm and mockery as he looked at the common people with a smile. Lu Su was flustered and exasperated. He hated the stupid parrot. He did not understand how the parrot knew that there was a treasure in their forbidden area. Even Lu Ning did not know about the evil blood essence. In the entire Lu family, it was passed down from generation to generation. Fellow cultivator, you come from a wealthy family. How can you do such a thing? Lu Su was furious but he did not dare to attack. You led the extermination of Xiao Zhanxing, didn't you? You wanted the divine martial emperor's code so you besieged Xiao Zhanxing and turned it into hell. Then, you framed Yi Qinghan for not knowing how to appreciate kindness and was unwilling to share the divine martial emperor's code. Now that I want the evil blood essence, are you willing to let me take it? Or do you want me to slaughter Xiao Zhanxing and report to the organization that I have exterminated a group of human sinners and obtained the evil blood essence? Feng Sha squinted his eyes. The soul devourer Tachi on his back began to tremble as if it was thirsting for blood. Lu Su and the others felt their hair stand on end. They thought that Feng Sha and Yi Qinghan were good friends and had come back to take revenge. They were shocked and asked cautiously, "Who are you? What is your relationship with Yi Qinghan?" "I don't know Yi Qinghan. I just want to speak up for him. I've already investigated part of the truth of what happened back then. Do you want me to tell you everything?" Feng Sha asked disdainfully. "What do you know? Don't try to trick me." Lu Su was shocked. Not many people knew the truth. Where did this terrifying young man come from? "I went to Monarch Xinye's palace and killed his crown prince. I obtained some useful information. For example, you joined forces with more than 100 martial venerables and even foreign experts to slaughter Xiao Zhanxing. In the end, you framed Yi Qinghan. Enough. Kid, I don't care where you are from, but you are not leaving Evil Dragon Planet today." Lu Su's murderous intent rose. A beam of light flashed across the sky as he anxiously waited for Emperor Xinye's support. "Ha ha ha, even if I went to the Domain Lord's place of seclusion and wanted to leave, he wouldn't dare to stop me. You clowns. Anyone who tries to stop me will die." Feng Sha waved his right hand, and the blood evil essence disappeared. Then, his flesh and blood regrew. It was crystal clear, and the soul-devouring Tachi appeared in his hand. The evil chi was strong enough to destroy a mid-level Tao master. Boom, the chi of the Feng Chi exploded. The ancestral land behind the mountain of the Lu family was razed to the ground. The tombstones were broken one after another. In the blink of an eye, it rushed out of the back mountain and affected the city leader's office. Lu Su was shocked and shouted to the crowd, "Attack in the void." Whoosh! Whoosh! More than 10 terrifying auras soared into the sky. They didn't want to fight on Xiao Dragon's star anymore, as they were afraid that their clansmen would be implicated. The destructive power of a great martial venerable was too strong. This level had already surpassed the peak of the Tao Master level and entered the complete Tao Master realm. It could be regarded as a half-step immortal. It could destroy a star with a wave of its hand and kill millions of people with a stomp of its feet. Blood and bones piled up like mountains. Although Feng Sha didn't care about countless creatures, he didn't want to kill too much. With a stomp of his feet, half of Tianshui's city collapsed. A terrifying crack extended for thousands of miles along the forbidden land behind the mountain. His body turned into a terrifying sword and soared into the sky. Slash! The overbearing and arrogant voice exploded like thunder. The chi rushed to all directions and reached the depths of the Milky Way. Swish! The sword light split the sky and blinded everyone's eyes, making them absent-minded. Whoosh! The sword slashed horizontally and went straight for Xiahou Yuan. Xiahou Yuan's hair stood on end. He roared and a huge sword appeared in his hand. It was 3 meters long and sharp. With a wisp of sword chi, it shattered the shackles of the sky. He used all the vital essence in his body and waved the huge sword. A huge defensive shield with a radius of dozens of meters was formed. Boom! 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 More than 10 consecutive explosions tore through everyone's eardrums. Feng Sha had actually slashed out dozens of times in the blink of an eye. His inch-strike technique was not any weaker than Yi Qinghan's back then. In fact, it was even better. Hum! The huge sword let out a long hum. The ear-piercing sound spread for thousands of miles and alarmed half of the Xiaolong region. Break for me. Feng Sha was disdainful. He twisted his waist and suddenly exploded with a force of 10 million jin. He swung his right arm and forcefully broke the huge sword. More than half of the huge sword flew into the depths of the Milky Way. Only a small part of the sword hilt was left in Xiahou Yuan's hand. Puff! Xiahou Yuan's withering qi and blood boiled instantly. His vitality was dissipating more than 10 times faster than before. His white hair danced in the wind. He spat out a mouthful of essence blood and retreated a few hundred steps. It seemed like more than 10 moves, but in fact, it happened in an instant. No one had time to support him. Space-breaking chain slash. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Feng Sha slashed dozens of times. The trajectory of each slash was very strange. They were very far away from Xiahou Yuan. It seemed useless, but in fact it was extremely terrifying. The last slash was aimed at Xiahou Yuan's real body. The sword light in front of it actually exploded and surrounded Xiahou Yuan, making it impossible for him to dodge. Shameless bastard, I sentence you to death in the name of killing. Xiahou Yuan was terrified. He stared at the last slash coming from the void. He could not dodge, he could only block it. He raised half of the sword hilt in his hand, intending to block the last slash. Boom! Poochie, two sounds were heard almost at the same time. The soul-devouring sword descended from the void and split the sword hilt in the blink of an eye. It then slashed down from Xiahou Yuan's shoulder and directly split him in half. The soul-devouring sword flashed and directly swallowed his soul and vitality. Xiahou Yuan's corpse fell from the sky like a withered tree branch. Not a single drop of essence blood was spilled. Everyone gasped and their hair stood on end. They looked at Feng Sha in horror, as if they had seen a ghost. Xiahou Yuan was a great martial honorable. He did not even have time to display his peak battle strength. He was killed in 2 breaths. No one had time to support him. How strong was Feng Sha exactly? He was probably not weaker than Yi Qinhan back then. The soul-devouring sword swallowed Xiahou Yuan's soul and became even more terrifying. Feng Sha's black robes fluttered and emitted rays of light. It was like a celestial light was attached to him. He was accompanied by the laws and did not lose any blood. Celestial sect Daoist robes. The robes he is wearing are immortal sect robes. It's a 6th grade martial honorable. Even if we kill him, we won't be able to break his defense. Lu Su was terrified and retreated. The immortal sect robes were naturally special battle robes made by immortal sect cultivators. They had their own defensive array and could block 50 to 60% of an immortal sect cultivator's strength. 50% of an immortal sect cultivator's strength was enough to kill countless great martial honorables. However, the immortal sect robes could block it. If a great martial honorable were to attack the immortal sect robes, it would be like an ant trying to shake the heavens. It really looks like the immortal sect robes. There are laws intertwining and flowing celestial light. Who are you? There are not many people in the younger generation who have the immortal sect robes. As a member of the royal family, how can you attack us? Many great martial honorables were terrified. They wanted to use words to provoke Feng Sha's Dao heart and make him stop. I've said it before. Whoever can withstand 3 of my attacks will be given a name. I'm leaving now. Who dares to? Feng Sha was about to leave and a few rainbows appeared in the sky. Their auras were monstrous and interrupted him. Amitba. Benefactor, your evil chi is so strong. You're definitely a disaster for the human race. Come with me to the Buddha and let him purify you. Azura Qian Ye's Buddhist light shot into the sky and his magic power flowed through his golden body. He was majestic. However, he was a little reckless. He didn't even understand the situation and wanted to purify Feng Sha. Such a strong evil chi. It's exactly the same as the evil chi on my son's wound. I'm going to crush you alive. Emperor Shenyi was furious. His anger almost burned the stars in the universe. He raised his sword and rushed towards Feng Sha. In an instant, more than 10 great martial honorables appeared in the sky above Owl Dragon's star. They were all people who had participated in the massacre of Owl Fall Star. They surrounded the Edge Fiend tightly. Feng Sha raised his eyebrows and smiled coldly. These people were just as Yi Qinghan had said. They were shameless and wanted to fight with numbers. Emperor Shenye's son had died tragically. He had been dismembered and tortured to death. How could he not hate him? The moment he saw Feng Sha, he knew that he was the murderer. He couldn't hold back his anger and rushed forward without even looking. Lu Su didn't even have the chance to warn him. Xiu.1 Sword Paradise pierced towards Feng Sha's chest. The void shackles couldn't stop him at all. Feng Sha laughed coldly. He didn't even dodge. Without blinking, he kept his soul-devouring Tachi and waited for Emperor Shenyi to arrive. Emperor Shenyi was overjoyed. He thought that Feng Sha was scared out of his wits. Without hesitation, he increased his speed and stabbed towards Feng Sha's chest without mercy. Boom! Feng Sha's clothes emitted an overflowing light. The laws and great Daos gathered and interweaved with lightning, blocking the crazy attacks. The 5th grade sword was imprisoned by the laws. Emperor Shenyi didn't even have the chance to draw his sword. His eyes were filled with shock. Feng Sha smiled cruelly and clenched his fist. He raised the iron wall and smashed it into Emperor Shenye's head. Boom! Wang! Kacha! Emperor Shenye's head was hit and his neck was almost broken. His broken body was like a kite with a broken string. He smashed through space and crashed towards Owl Dragon's star. His entire being was stunned. It was as if his head had been hit by a 5th grade sledgehammer. His eyes rolled back and his knowledge sea was in a mess. Even his brain juice was spurting out. A large amount of evil chi rushed into his body, causing him to lose consciousness. He was the first marshal revered to fall to such a state. Even if I killed your son, so what? Feng Sha sneered. His figure flashed and he instantly caught up with Emperor Shenyi who was falling rapidly. He lifted his leg and kicked right at Emperor Shenye's stomach, smashing him into the shape of a bow. In an instant, Emperor Shenye's broken body crashed into the ground. The ground cracked and the cracks were so deep that they couldn't see the bottom. Blood stained the ground. Shuo Qianye's mouth twitched. He immediately retracted the Buddhist golden light to avoid Feng Sha's attention. Bald monk, you are the one who wants to purify me. Okay, bring me to your temple and I will cultivate with you for a while. Feng Sha laughed coldly. Feng Sha's combat strength was no weaker than Yi Qinghan's peak combat strength. With the celestial sect Dao robe, if the celestial sect didn't come out, no one would be his match. Even if all of them attacked together, they wouldn't be able to harm a single strand of his hair. The strong and overbearing aura suppressed the dozens of great martial honorables such that they didn't dare to breathe. They were afraid that he would find them. Shuo Qianye's face was ashen white. He placed his palms together and chanted. Chapter 174. Feng Sha was incomparably tyrannical. His aura was so oppressive that it made it hard for people to breathe. The dozens of martial saints did not dare to look directly at him, afraid that he would cause trouble. Azura Qianyi fiddled with the prayer beads in his hand, pretending that he did not hear Feng Sha's words. He lowered his head and cut a sorry figure. Fortunately, the parrot was not here. Otherwise, it would have scolded this old monk to death. What was even crazier than the razor fiend was at the end of the stellar river. Yi Qinghan steered his cloud-piercing ship and charged at the other cloud-piercing ships without any regard for his life. He had already smashed through more than 10 cloud-piercing ships, and his own cloud-piercing ship was also in tatters. However, even though it was on the verge of collapse, it refused to fall apart. No one dared to collide with him. Lu Ning's fingers trembled. Many people had already died, but Yi Qinghan was still like a madman. He crashed into anyone who dared to block his path. His own losses were small, but the other party's cloud-piercing boats would definitely be broken. Some experts were directly killed by the collision. In the end, not even their corpses could be found. Fireworks constantly bloomed in the Milky Way. Some cloud-piercing boats lost control and were directly sucked away by the Death Stars. They crashed into the meteors, causing flames to burn the sky. It was a terrifying sight. "Master, smash these bastards to death. Charge!" The parrot's hot blood was stirred up. It stood at the front of the cockpit and looked through a transparent glass-like material at the hundreds of cloud-piercing boats in front of it. It was not Lu Ning who had brought people in front of Yi Qinghan. Instead, it was Yi Qinghan who had turned around and faced them. One person and one cloud-piercing boat against hundreds of cloud-piercing boats. The entire atmosphere became incomparably grand. "Scatter. Everyone scatter for me." Lu Ning was shocked. She knew that Yi Qinghan definitely dared to crash into their cloud-piercing boats. Once the cloud-piercing boats exploded, everyone would be affected. Not a single person would be able to escape. Everyone's cloud-piercing boats cried out in alarm through their communication talismans. Their hair stood on end as they scattered, creating a distance of at least 1,000 meters between them. Yi Qinghan grinned coldly. The cloud-piercing boat hung in the air as he stared at Lu Ning. "Open the messaging charm. I want to talk to you." Lu Ning shouted through the air. Her expression was terrible. Yi Qinghan was incomparably cold. Now that Lu Ning already knew his identity, the words in the messaging talisman would definitely reveal his identity. If it was intercepted by an expert, the consequences would be very dangerous. "Talk to her. Knock her over. Seize the cloud-piercing boat." The parrot clamored. It really wanted to personally pilot the cloud-piercing boat and fight a great battle against them. Yi Qinghan pondered for a moment. Lu Ning was ultimately a bomb that could blow him to smithereens at any time. Beep. Yi Qinghan opened his transmission amulet and said, "I don't believe in transmission amulets. Let's find a quiet place and have a one-on-one battle." "All right." Killing intent flashed in Lu Ning's eyes. She then said to the others, "The rest of you, back off. Don't follow me. This battle is mine alone." Everyone's expression changed slightly. In the end, they obeyed Lu Ning's order and chose to retreat. Whoosh, Lu Ning steered the cloud-piercing boat alone and soared into the sky, heading towards the end of the void. Yi Qinghan followed closely behind. Both of them were filled with killing intent. Yi Lingyu steered the cloud-piercing boat forward, forming a triangular formation that pressed towards the depths of the universe. The others were stunned. On one hand, it was because of Lu Ning's order. On the other hand, they didn't dare to face the madman Yi Qinghan again. He didn't care about his life at all. Moreover, the way he steered the cloud-piercing boat was much more advanced than the others. It wouldn't be a problem for him to fight against 100 people alone. Yi Qinghan noticed a cloud-piercing boat on the right flank. When he saw the symbol on the cloud-piercing boat, he knew that Yi Lingyu had also chased after them. His heart couldn't help but feel heavy. "Master, we're in front. We'll choose the location of the battle. We'll definitely have an advantage." The parrot's eyes shone brightly as it squinted at the endless universe. Dead stars filled the galaxy. Starlight flickered. Dead stars kept exploding. Meteors streaked across the sky and shot towards the end of the universe. 30,000 miles away, there was a dead star rotating at high speed. It was huge. Its great path was 10 times more stable than the evil dragon star. Its gravitational force was 1,000 times stronger than the evil dragon star. When meteors flew past, they were forcefully sucked in by the gravitational force and smashed into countless deep pits. However, the dead star didn't show any signs of exploding. It was obvious that its density had reached a terrifying level. The gravitational force was like a crack in space, tearing apart meteors and objects floating in the void. This dead star had become the most dangerous starry sky garbage dump. Even Tao sovereigns couldn't escape the gravitational force as long as they entered its atmosphere. The gravitational force here was enough to crush a Fate Palace realm cultivator to death. If a Tao sovereign's body wasn't strong enough, they wouldn't be able to move even an inch. The parrot had a special premonition about spiritual treasures or great tribulation of heaven and earth. Suddenly, a star chart flashed across its mind. When it saw the dead star, its eyes lit up. In terms of physical strength, who could resist Yi Qinghan? In such a place, ordinary people wouldn't have much combat strength. However, Yi Qinghan could at least rely on his physical strength to fight. He could kill high-level cultivators as easily as cutting vegetables. Rush over to the left wing. There's a good place there, the parrot shouted. Yi Qinghan didn't hesitate to change his mind and rushed toward the dead star. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning were shocked and rushed over as well. 3 meteors pierced through the sky and traveled thousands of miles in a flash. It was only 30,000 miles, so it only took half an incense stick to burn. There seemed to be a lot of meteors in the vicinity. The floating objects flew by at a speed even faster than the cloud-piercing ship. The cloud-piercing ship was also hit hard. Brother, don't go. It's dangerous in that direction. Yi Jianhua suddenly opened her eyes and looked into the distance. She shouted hurriedly. Yi Lingyu was shocked. If Yi Jianhua was so anxious, then it must be very dangerous. Just as they were about to stop, the cloud-piercing ship suddenly lost control and broke through the atmosphere of the dead star. No matter how they struggled, they couldn't escape being torn apart by the dead star. Yi Qinghan's cloud-piercing ship cut through the air. Flames soared into the sky. Within the control cabin, Yi Qinghan frantically controlled the cloud-piercing ship, hoping to slow it down. Otherwise, just the impact alone would be enough to kill them. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning's cloud-piercing ship lost control at the same time and crashed into the dead star. Flames instantly submerged the cloud-piercing ship. Shock finally appeared in Lu Ning's eyes. She was no longer in control of her own life. She clenched her teeth and veins popped out all over her body. She cursed inwardly, "Madman. You're a madman. If you want to kill us, don't drag yourself down with you." Yi Lingyu was enraged. A fierce light flashed in his eyes. He shouted to Yi Jianhua beside him, "Protect yourself. The pressure of this dead star is enough to crush your body." Yi Jianhua gripped broken flute tightly. Panic surged in his eyes. He looked at the meteors that constantly fell from the sky and streaked past him. He felt that he would definitely die this time. Even if he didn't die from the fall, he would be smashed to death by the countless meteors. Yi Qinghan. You forced me to do this. Boom boom boom, the sky rumbled. The great Tao space was extremely stable. Even after facing such a terrifying attack, the space didn't distort at all. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. Only now did he understand just how powerful the pressure of this dead star was. He couldn't help but glare fiercely at the parrot. Damn, it's even more terrifying than I imagined. We're finished. The parrot was shocked. He felt that the situation had gone beyond his control. Hundreds of thousands of meters in the sky, in less than half an incense stick's worth of time, they had fallen to less than 1,000 meters above the ground. The veins on Yi Qinghan's azure dragon arm popped out. He punched through the distorted cabin door, grabbed the parrot, and jumped down. Combine. Armor transformation. Whoosh! Screech! Yi Qinghan's huge wings flapped in the sky, and the crazy falling force broke the wings of the god-slaying eagle. A shrill scream came out of Yi Qinghan's mouth, echoing through the celestial river. Yi Qinghan couldn't care less. The god-slaying eagle was his last life-saving straw. Even if he had to exhaust the last bit of the god-slaying eagle's vitality, he had to stabilize his body. Whoosh! The god-slaying eagle closed its wings and rushed to the ground. 1,000 meters in the sky wasn't a distance at all. In the blink of an eye, it touched the ground. Yi Qinghan once again used all his strength to spread his wings and reduce the recoil speed. With a roll, he dissipated most of the remaining force. After the god-slaying eagle screamed, it fainted. Its wings shrank back into its body, and there was no more sound. Boom boom boom, Yi Qinghan's body crashed into rocks continuously. All the golden bones in his body were broken. He was bathed in blood and sweat, but his eyes were wide open. He was afraid that he would be crushed to death if he didn't fall to his death. If he was crushed to death by a meteorite, that would be even worse. The parrot didn't seem to be afraid of the pressure of gravity. It flew up once it landed. It couldn't help but exclaim, "Not bad, this place is not bad. It doesn't affect me at all. Am I really the destined divine martial beast emperor?" Ha ha ha. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed with anger. The parrot was a trap, a divine trap. It pointed out a huge trap for him, and he actually jumped into it. Less than 1,000 meters in the sky, Yi Lingyu rushed out of the cloud-piercing ship with Yi Jianma in his arms. The 5th-grade spirit vibration wings roared and were instantly torn apart by the tearing force. Then, a second wing spread out, and then a third. 1,000 meters in the sky, Yi Lingyu destroyed a total of 6 5th-grade spirit vibration wings. Just as he landed, in order to protect Yi Jianma, his legs were broken, and his body was covered in blood. Then, with an angry face, he roared, "Yi Qinghan, you're a madman." Lu Ning was in an even more sorry state. She fell heavily to the ground. If it wasn't for her strong willpower, she would have fainted. At this time, whoever fainted would die. There were too many meteorites. It was like a meteor shower, constantly falling from the sky. Yi Qinghan kept dodging, battered and exhausted. His body was crushed until his skin and flesh were torn open. His true essence consumption was 1,000 times faster than outside. We're finished. This is a land of death. Yi Jianma was fine under Yi Lingyu's protection, but her face was pale. She looked around and said sadly, "There will always be a place to survive." Yi Qinghan clenched his fists and glared at the parrot. He coldly shouted, "Quickly find a safe place." Boom, a huge meteorite fell from the sky, smashing straight at them. Whoosh! They no longer cared about their true essence consumption. They mobilized their true essence and rushed in a direction. The flames on the meteorite almost burned it to ashes. The heat wave swept them away. The 4 of them fell to the ground in a sorry state. Only the parrot was extremely graceful. It turned its head to look at the huge pit and exclaimed, "What a big pit." Yes. What a big pit. You're a godly pit. This must be the place you're looking for. Yi Lingyu roared. Yi Qinghan's face was also full of anger. At this time, not to mention killing people, it would be lucky if he could escape this disaster. Chapter 175. The Death Star was full of danger. Meteors kept falling, and the star was covered in flames. The heat was unbearable. The 4 of them were in a difficult situation. They were on guard against each other for fear of being attacked. Boom, 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 more and more meteors fell. Even if a small piece hit them, they would die without a burial place. The parrot smiled awkwardly and didn't dare to say anything. It was the one who had found this place and had asked Yi Qinghan to come here. It hadn't expected that it would also be trapped here. It couldn't even fly out. Once the spirit crystals and food ran out, they would all starve to death. Practitioners did not need to eat, but they ate very little. Especially those who had not reached the Tao Master realm, they still needed a lot of food to replenish their qi and blood. The four of them ran with the parrot. Yi Lingyu was in the most difficult situation. He not only had to protect himself, but also had to waste a lot of genuine core strength to protect Yi Jianmo. Fortunately, he had enough spiritual crystals to support him for a while. Otherwise, he would have given up. It was as if the whole star was a dead land. There were only flames and meteors. The four of them and the parrot rushed back and forth, facing the threat of death at any time. Now, even the parrot was not arrogant. It looked into the distance with confused eyes. Yi Qinghan and the others breathed rapidly. Their bodies were exhausted. The terrible gravity made them feel exhausted and difficult to move. This was a holy land for body cultivation. Unfortunately, they could not find a safe place. It was a dead land. Moreover, if Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning were not strong enough, they would have died. How could they cultivate their bodies? The blood in Yi Qinghan's body boiled, burning his qi and blood to support his physical body's movements. The spirit crystals were quickly consumed, and gradually, his body could no longer absorb spirit qi and convert it into true essence. If this continued, his foundation would be damaged if he didn't recover. Divine bird, quickly find a safe place. Yi Qinghan was a little anxious and said in a low voice. Cough, cough, I'm looking for it. This godforsaken place has no spiritual qi. It's driving me to death. The parrot was embarrassed. At this time, it was the most powerful one. The others could not even use their divine senses. Brother, I can't. Yi Jianma's divine senses were scattered and her body began to crack. Yi Lingyu was so angry that he wanted to kill the parrot. Now, he could only give up on his own defense and help Yi Jian defend. The mountain rocks on the ground were all iron ores. They were terrifyingly dense, making it difficult to move. Those with weaker bodies would be crushed into fine powder. Lu Ning's clothes were simple, but no one wanted to take another look at her. Yi Qinghan, I was wrong about you. How dare you send us to our deaths? Lu Ning was furious, but her voice was hoarse and weak. Since you all want to kill me, don't blame me for wanting to kill you. Yi Qinghan replied coldly. Lu Ning was at a loss for words. During the chase, she realized that Yi Qinghan was like a madman. She would never be able to grasp his heart. While struggling, she had indeed developed killing intent. Since both of them had killing intent, there was no need to blame each other. There's a treasure. There's actually a treasure in this trashy place. Let me go see what it is. The parrot flapped its wings and shuttled through the meteor flames, quickly rushing into the distance. The four of them narrowed their eyes. They didn't immediately choose to follow. Instead, they suspected that this fellow would send them into an even bigger pit. However, Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth and followed without hesitation. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning had no choice but to follow. After galloping for about 2 hours, Yi Qinghan's legs went soft. Even though Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu were supported by their powerful realms, they were about to go crazy. Finally, a ray of hope appeared in front of them. This caused their blood to boil and their eyes to shine. The Creator was mysterious. Where there was life, there was death. Where there was yin, there was yang. On such a dead star, there was actually a pure land. A towering dark metal mountain range towered into the sky. It was completely bare, without even a single weed. There was actually a crack in the middle of the mountain range, completely separating the mountain range. The gap was 7 or 8 meters at most. After passing through the crack, there was actually life on the other side of the mountain range. Trees similar to iron trees stood tall and proud. There were at least several thousand of them, big and small. This place had become a forbidden area for meteorites. The gravity was not so exaggerated. The four of them couldn't help but breathe out a mouthful of foul air and collapse on the ground. Yi Jianma fainted directly. However, Yi Qinghan and the others didn't dare to fall asleep. They all looked at each other vigilantly. Wow! These trees are treasures. They are definitely harder than 5th grade combat weapons. They are good materials for refining weapons. Unfortunately, I can't break them. Otherwise, I would have taken them all. The parrot's eyes were shining. It couldn't wait to pounce on them. Divine Dipper Wood, 6th grade. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He lay flat on the ground and looked around. His eyes were full of astonishment. Divine Dipper Wood was a 6th grade material for refining weapons. There were thousands of them here. If he could get one of them, it would be comparable to a small star. Yi Lingyu leaned against the Divine Dipper Wood and hugged Yi Jianmo. His mind was scattered. He was so tired that he couldn't speak. However, he didn't dare to close his eyes for fear of being attacked by Yi Qinghan. Lu Ning also looked at each other. She was excited to find the Divine Dipper Wood. At the same time, she was thinking about how to deal with Yi Qinghan. The gravity here was frighteningly strong. True essence couldn't determine the outcome. Only the physical body could. Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu might be able to crush Yi Qinghan in terms of realm and true essence. However, Yi Qinghan's physical body could crush them. Yi Lingyu, should we work together? Lu Ning wanted to fall asleep, but she didn't dare. She found that Yi Lingyu was the same. She couldn't help but suggest. Yi Lingyu looked at Yi Qinghan and then looked at the exhausted Lu Ning. He couldn't help but nod and say, "Okay. You rest for 2 hours. I will defend." When Lu Ning heard this, she let out a sigh of relief. She lost the will to defend herself and immediately fell asleep. Yi Lingyu gritted his teeth and persevered. This feeling was similar to a mortal who didn't sleep for 3 to 5 days. Their mental will was on the verge of collapse. They could sleep on any bed they wanted until the end of time. Yi Qinghan was slightly better, but not by much. His realm was the lowest and he had the least amount of true essence. He was completely relying on his physical body and will to fight. "Divine Bird, protect me," Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. "Okay. Don't worry. If they dare to make a move, I will burn them one by one." The parrot ran between Yi Qinghan and Yi Lingyu. It stared at Yi Lingyu without blinking. Yi Qinghan fell into a deep sleep and self-repair. Spirit crystals were placed around him. The spirit crystals turned into spirit chi and squeezed into Yi Qinghan's body. Under such high-intensity tempering, the speed of improvement of the golden body was terrifying. Unfortunately, Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning did not dare to temper their physical bodies at this time. Otherwise, their physical bodies would grow quickly and not lose to Yi Qinghan. Time gradually passed. 2 hours later, Yi Lingyu woke Lu Ning up and fell into a deep sleep. Yi Jianma also woke up. She took out a 5th grade golden divine pellet that was filled with great Tao markings and was absolutely priceless. She swallowed it without feeling the slightest bit of pain. It was clear that her identity was not ordinary. Her foundation was far more than that. Damn, what an awesome elixir. The parrot drooled and wanted to snatch it. Lu Ning also saw Yi Jianma swallow the level 5 elixir. She couldn't help but be shocked. Even an ordinary expert in the Tao Master realm could not afford such an elixir. There were not many rich and powerful families like the Lu family. It was impossible for a junior like her to get it. Yi Jianma swallowed it like candy. Who is this little girl? She has been following Yi Lingyu all this time. Her foundation is so strong. Lu Ning took a deep breath and muttered to herself. Lu Ning couldn't figure out her identity, but she could guess that Yi Jianma must be a direct descendant of a senior in the Tianya Valley. Otherwise, it was impossible for her to have a level 5 elixir. Yi Qinghan's golden body was flowing with divine light. His physical body was getting stronger and stronger. He was only half a step away from breaking through to the 4th step of the Tao Insight realm. As long as he was prepared, he could easily enter the Fate Palace realm on such a dangerous Death Star. Lu Ning also began to heal her injured body. She swallowed a large number of elixirs and her genuine vitality was replenished. The parrot did not dare to attack without permission. Its physical body was not strong. It relied on speed and divine sense. If it was caught, it could be killed by anyone. 4 hours later, Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu woke up at the same time. Although their combat strength had not returned to its peak, it was definitely enough to deal with Yi Qinghan. Yi Jianma opened her pure eyes and looked around curiously. Looking at the boundless divine dipper wood, she was also speechless. If such a precious place was discovered by a big force, they would definitely send super experts to mine it. This is the only place of life on this star. If we can't cultivate to the Tao Master realm in a short time, we will probably starve to death. Yi Jianma whispered. Yi Qinghan, how much reserve food did you bring? Let's cooperate. We'll talk about it after we get out of the Death Star. What do you think? Yi Lingyu suggested in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan looked at the interspatial ring. There were 10 million middle spiritual crystals and 120 upper spiritual crystals left. The rest of the spiritual crystals were left on the Owlfall star. As for food and spiritual fruits, there was not much left. They could only last for half a year at most. It was almost impossible for them to cultivate their physical body to the point where they could break free from the Death Star in half a year. It can last me for half a year. There are enough spiritual crystals, Yi Qinghan said in a hoarse voice. Lu Ning looked at her interspatial ring and looked a little pale. She didn't have much food in reserve. In addition to the elixirs and spiritual fruits, she could only last for 3 or 4 months at most. Yi Lingyu was even worse. He didn't bring much food with him, and he had to share it with Yi Jianma. It would be good if they could last for a month. After talking about their own food reserves, they looked a little pale. If they wanted to get out of here alive, they would have no chance if they didn't cooperate. Once they cooperated, they would have to share the food equally. In this way, they could only last for 4 months at most. The parrot hid behind Yi Qinghan and didn't speak, for fear of attracting others' attention. However, Yi Lingyu still found it. This parrot didn't bring any food? I remember it has an interspatial ring. Yi Lingyu stared at the parrot and was a little confused. The parrot was angry. How could it share its food with them? What was more, even if they were given 4 months, they couldn't break free from the Death Star. It was better to preserve their strength. Maybe they could escape. Chapter 176. The parrot glared at Yi Lingyu and angrily said, "You want to steal bird food? Are you a man?" Yi Lingyu clenched his fists. This was a matter of life and death. Not to mention bird food, even dog food would be snatched. Not to mention, this parrot's food was not ordinary. Most of it was spirit fruits. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. He didn't know how many things were in the parrot's yin and yang ring. More importantly, he vaguely remembered that he gave it no less than 20 yin and yang rings. Give them to me. When I get out of this dead star, I'll pay you back double, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. The parrot was helpless. Its small claws shook and at least 10 yin and yang rings fell out. Yi Qinghan and the others' eyes lit up. Yi Qinghan picked up the yin and yang ring. After it recognized its owner, he glanced around and couldn't help but look at the parrot. Yi Qinghan was sweating. There was everything in the yin and yang ring. In addition to countless spirit fruits, there was also a large number of spirit pills. Although the grade wasn't high, it was enough to satisfy his hunger. Looking at the last 4 yin and yang rings, Yi Qinghan couldn't help but ask, "Where did you get so much monster meat?" The parrot was extremely pained, but this time it had made a great contribution. It couldn't help but boast, "I took it from the armory of Tianshui City Lord Mansion." How about it? At critical times, you still need to rely on this divine bird. How much? Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu asked in unison. Just the meat alone is enough for us to eat for 2 years. There are probably tens of thousands of spirit fruits. Half of them are red leaf fruits, excellent for replenishing vitality. Yi Qinghan smiled. Although the parrot was a trap, it was still very useful at critical times. Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu sucked in a breath of cold air. This parrot was really a trap. Tianshui City's armory had almost been emptied out by it. But at this time, they should be glad that the parrot stole from the armory. Otherwise, they would all starve to death. Humph, I'll let it go this time. If you steal from my family again, I'll kill you. Lu Ning coldly snorted. Little girl, if you dare to show off again, I'll teach you a lesson. The parrot retorted disdainfully. Lu Ning's breath stagnated and the corner of her mouth twitched. She was actually a little afraid of this godly trap. This bird was too cheap. It was so cheap that it made people scratch their heads. Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice, "All right, we have enough food now. Let's all cultivate and strive to break free from the gravitational shackles of this place within 2 years. Cultivate? Could it be that you're not interested in 6th-tier divine wood?" The corners of Yi Lingyu's lips curled up as he stared at the thousands of divine dipper trees. Chopping down divine trees at this time will waste a lot of time. As the saying goes, don't forget to sharpen your knife when chopping wood. I'm going to the outside world to train and temper my body. It's up to you whether you want to come or not. Yi Qinghan reminded them calmly. Then, Yi Qinghan took off all the Qian Kun rings and put them aside. He said again, "I can't guarantee that I'll be able to come back alive after tempering my body this time. If you leave here, it's best to leave the Qian Kun rings behind and bring only a small amount of food. Otherwise, you'll only waste a lot of food if you die outside. If you really die, you'll leave a chance for others to live." Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning nodded. Yi Qinghan had the most food. If he was willing to do so, they shouldn't object. Divine bird, stay here and guard the Qian Kun rings. Don't let anything happen to them. Yi Qinghan was very cautious. The Qian Kun rings were left here. If something happened to the food, no one would be able to survive. Don't worry. With this divine bird here, even if a super fierce beast appears, it won't be able to snatch the food away. The parrot said solemnly. Yi Lingyu looked coldly at the parrot and reminded Yi Jian, "Ez, don't listen to half a word this parrot says. You stay here and cultivate. I'll go outside and temper my body." The parrot rolled its eyes and scolded angrily, "You bunch of ingrates. If it weren't for this divine bird, you would all starve to death. Now you're saying that you can't believe half a word I say. Has your conscience been eaten by dogs?" The corner of Yi Lingyu's mouth twitched. They didn't want to reason with the parrot. There was no reason at all. Yi Qinghan smiled. He held the devil dragon saber and rushed out of this place of vitality. As soon as he left the canyon, the pressure multiplied. It was difficult to move an inch. Countless meteors fell. Some meteorites flew past a few hundred meters away from him. The heat waves were unbearable. His 4th-grade battle robe was shattered, leaving only a layer of violent bear's soft skin to wrap around his lower body. Yi Lingyu's clothes were of good quality, but the outer robe was also melted by the heat. Lu Ning was calm and composed. She stood outside and continued to temper her body. She had the bearing of a man. Yi Qinghan and the others casually glanced at them. Their flesh was constantly broken. Their bodies and vital essence were frantically mobilized to heal their injured bodies. The cycle repeated over and over again. It was extremely painful. However, every time they tempered their bodies became stronger. The three of them were in pain and joy. They gradually entered a state of cultivation. The world here was simply hell on earth. It was extremely terrifying. Other than them, there were no other creatures. The dark ground emitted a terrifying suction force. Even the light couldn't break free from the shackles. The sky was gray and the void was majestic. It was incomparably magnificent. On a mountain peak in Tienya Valley, a white-haired old man with a sage-like demeanor was sitting cross-legged. He seemed to be in a deep sleep. His white robe didn't move at all. He was the head of Tienya Valley's Yin-Yang division, Tianjizi. At this moment, his eyes opened. Bright light pierced through the sky. His fingertips were constantly revolving. The law of great Tao and the mystery of heaven revolved, shocking the heaven and earth. Lightning struck across the sky, but it was blocked by a law. Why did Yitzi run to a dangerous place? Tianjizi was furious. His body trembled and appeared in Tienya Valley's martial arts field. He shouted in a low voice, "Tienya Valley, where's your precious disciple? Where did you take my granddaughter?" The gravity of that dead star was extremely strong. Even the great mystery of heaven couldn't break free from the shackles. Tianjizi could only detect that Yi Jianmo was in a very dangerous situation, but he couldn't see the specific location. His mood immediately became heavy. I also feel that they are in a very dangerous situation. However, I tried to see through the mystery of heaven through the 8 trigram sky formation. But the mystery of heaven didn't leak out. I can't detect it. I need to investigate to determine where they are. Another terrifying existence appeared in Tienya Valley. He could see through the mystery of heaven in an instant. Tienya Valley had a total of 2 divisions, the 8 trigrams division and the Yin-Yang division. The two had never separated from each other since ancient times. Therefore, Tienya Valley was one of the most terrifying forces in Shaolong region. Sometimes, the region master would come to visit in person. Tianjizi soared into the sky and went straight to the center of Shaolong region, Shaolong Star. At this moment, Feng Sha's robe fluttered in the wind. Immortal light flowed as he looked down on everyone. Shua Qianya didn't dare to raise his head. "Fellow cultivator, it's a misunderstanding. I misspoke just now. Please don't blame me." Shua Qianya touched his Buddhist prayer beads. Sweat poured down like rain. "Misunderstanding? I'm very murderous. I'm definitely the bane of the human race. Did I hear wrongly?" Feng Sha sneered coldly. "Amitba, this old monk, this little monk misspoke." Azura Qianyi muttered, his face pale. Feng Sha's combat strength had already reached the pinnacle. Coupled with the immortal sect Taoist robe, unless the domain lord personally came out of seclusion, even the star lords of the major planets could only lament their inadequacy. They did not dare to make an enemy out of him. Feng Sha sneered disdainfully. This kind of person bullied the weak and feared the strong. He could only cultivate to the great revered realm in this lifetime. Just as he was about to raise his hand to suppress him, his eyes suddenly turned cold as he looked into the distance. Boom! 2 terrifying auras descended and shrouded Shaolong Star. Even Feng Sha's expression changed. He raised his head and looked into the void. 2 sage-like figures floated over and glanced at the crowd coldly. When they saw the word "kill" on Feng Sha's shoulder, their hair stood on end and their white hair danced in the wind. So it's a branch of the Tianji sect. Seniors from Tienya Valley, Feng Sha is here to greet you. The arrogant Feng Sha's tone softened as he cupped his fists and said. So it's. Fellow cultivator, it's an honor for the Shaolong region to be here. I didn't know and didn't come out to greet you. I'm really sorry. Tian Jizi's expression changed slightly as he returned the greeting. Senior Tian Jizi, you don't have to be so polite. I just happened to pass by and found a treasure. It's a pity that these people would rather bury the treasure than benefit the human race. They're really sinners of the human race. Feng Sha's sarcastic words made Lu Su's face turn purple. However, he didn't dare to refute. If I kill these sinners of the human race, the two seniors and the region master of the Xiaolong region won't blame me, right? Feng Sha looked at Lu Su and Azura Yi Qinghan with a mocking expression. He wanted them to personally experience how Yi Qinghan felt at that time. Lu Su was so angry that his whole body trembled. He finally understood how angry Yi Qinghan was back then. It was really karma. It wasn't that the karma of the great Tao didn't come back. It was just that the time hadn't come yet. Tian Jizi smiled faintly. He knew that Feng Sha was trying to find some reason for Xiao Zhanqing. Naturally, he wouldn't refute Feng Sha's words. There was no such thing as fairness in this world. The one with the biggest fist was the absolute truth. These juniors don't know any better. Fellow cultivator, you don't have to lower yourself to their level. Just teach them a lesson. Killing them will only tarnish the glory of your sect. Tian Yazi looked at the crowd with disdain. Then, he asked coldly, did you see where my good disciple Yi Lingyu went? Hurry up and tell me. Lu Su and the others were shocked. Yi Lingyu had followed Lu Ning to chase after Yi Qinghan. Could it be that there was a problem? Lu Su was worried about Lu Ning's safety and quickly explained the situation. This made Tian Jizi and Tian Yazi anxious. Senior, did something happen? Feng Sha frowned. The reason why he took action was because he felt that Yi Qinghan was very qualified to join his organization. It was hard to find someone who could join their organization in the entire star field. Once they found a suitable candidate, the organization would give them a large amount of contribution points. At the very least, they could exchange for a 5th-grade supreme treasure. He didn't want anything to happen to Yi Qinghan along the way. Yi Lingyu and Yi Zi fell into a land of death at the same time. There is no life there. The terrifying gravity made it impossible for the great Tao of heaven to break free. This is equivalent to blocking the great Tao of heaven. We can't calculate their exact location at all. Tian Jizi said in a deep voice. When Feng Sha heard this, a bright light flashed between his eyebrows. His figure moved, and he sped in the direction that Yi Qinghan had escaped. Chapter 177. Hearing this, Feng Sha's eyebrows shone brightly. His figure moved and he sped towards the direction Yi Qinghan had escaped. Tian Jizi and Tian Yazi were even more anxious. They wanted to find Yi Lingyu and Yi Jianma as soon as possible. It seemed that they were very important to Tianya Valley. Along the way, hundreds of cloud-piercing ships hovered in the void. Seeing the 3 terrifying existences speeding towards them, they immediately made way for them. Not long after, Lu Su also caught up. He shouted at a Lu family expert, "Where are Lu Ning and the rest?" "Master, Her Highness ordered us to wait here." She and young Master Yi Lingyu went after Yi Qinghuang alone. The young master of the Lu clan replied respectfully. "I sensed their aura. They went that way." Tian Jizi quickly pointed in a direction. It was indeed Yi Qinghan's escape route. The 4 of them were as fast as lightning. Lu Su was much slower, but he still did not give up. After all, Lu Ning was the strongest among the Lu family's younger generation. It was very likely that she would become a great revered martial artist. She was crucial to the Lu family. After an hour, Tian Jizi stopped. He frowned and kept pinching his fingers. However, the surrounding great Tao and heaven's secrets were all blocked and absorbed. There was no trace of Yi Jianma's aura. This dead zone was filled with stars. It was extremely strange and blocked the great Tao of heaven's secrets. In a hurry, one would not be able to see anything. However, once one entered, the stars would move and the experts would be lost forever, floating in the endless universe. Tian Jizi and Tian Yazi's eyes lit up. They both discovered this problem and exclaimed in unison, when did such a dead zone appear here? The universe was vast and there were too many unknowns. An entire star area mysteriously disappearing or appearing had never happened before. No wonder Tian Jizi and Tian Yazi were so shocked. Feng Sha's fingertips moved and the soul devourer Tachi hummed softly. It shook the space inside the dead zone. He found that the space inside was exceptionally stable. It was many times stronger than Xiaolong region. He could not help but be shocked. If this star area could survive, it would definitely give birth to countless experts. You can't set foot in this star area. At least you can't set foot in the immortal realm. Otherwise, you're courting death. Tian Yazi's expression changed. He was certain that the four of them had entered this dead zone. As for which star they had no idea. Damned bastard. Tian Jizi's face was filled with anger as he glared at Lu Su. He wished he could slap Lu Su into the death zone. Senior, about this. Lu Su smiled bitterly. The Lu clan had been down on their luck these days. The supreme treasure of the clan's forbidden area had been taken away by someone else, and now their genius was in a dead end. They were even hated by powerful cultivators. This place is indeed too dangerous. It is very easy to get lost. Go back and ask your region lord for help. Feng Sha said in a deep voice. On the dead star, Yi Qinghan and the others were frantically tempering their bodies. Their cultivation was advancing at a tremendous pace. In the celestial Dipper Divine Woods, the parrot and Yi Jianma stared at each other. Yi Jianma put away all the cosmos rings and said with a wicked smile, "Hee, I've decided not to share my food with you. I'll let you starve to death. You damned bird, how dare you do this? Brother and sister Lu Ning will beat you to death." Yi Jianma glared at the parrot. Don't be arrogant. My master is a great martial venerable. Even if he is no longer a great martial venerable, his soul is still there. His body is much stronger than Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning's. In this star, your brother and Lu Ning's bodies are nothing. The parrot mocked. Yi Jianma guessed Yi Qinghan's identity. He was a supreme existence in the past. It was natural for him to be afraid. After being frightened by the parrot, his face turned pale. What do you want? Yi Jianma pouted and asked with dissatisfaction. Hee, if you want to live, you have to exchange 5th grade divine pills for food. 1 cosmos ring for 1 5th grade divine pill. At most, I can give you 5 rings. You can't exchange more than that. The parrot deliberately said as if a ring was worth a lot. In the outside world, 1 5th grade divine pill could be exchanged for a small star. In this dead land, it was indeed priceless to exchange for food. Yi Jianma certainly understood the value of 5th grade divine pills. However, he also understood the importance of food at this moment. There were also spirit fruits that could replenish water. These things could not be bought even with spirit crystals. Do you want to buy or not? If you don't want to buy, then forget it. When master comes back, I won't sell. Let's go our separate ways. This is the place I found. You must leave. The parrot took the opportunity to threaten. Yi Jianma was intimidated. He repeatedly said, I will buy. However, I only have 5 5th grade divine pills. They are all life-saving treasures. I can't give you all of them. I will give you 3 in exchange for 8 cosmos rings. No, I can give you 5 at most. There are a lot of flesh and spirit fruits here. The parrot's eyes lit up. It was somewhat unsatisfied and immediately bargained. 7 cosmos rings, no less. My 3 5th-grade divine pills can at least buy the owl falling star outside. Yi Jianma pursed his lips and said. 6. You said that we are outside. This is a dead star. There is no food here. The parrot was still not satisfied. 7, then 7. Yi Jianma was slightly angry. This parrot was indeed a cheap bird. Now he completely understood that it was too good at raising prices. Okay. Since you are so cute, I will take a little loss. Who told me to be a divine bird? I have to be a little generous. The parrot's face was full of pride. It stretched out its hand and threw out 7 cosmos rings. Then it waited for Yi Jianma to hand over the 5th-grade divine pills. Yi Jianma was extremely simple. He did not want to play tricks. He reluctantly handed over the 3 brocade boxes and glared at the parrot. It had made a lot of money from this deal. Thank you. Happy cooperation. The parrot quickly rushed to Yi Jianma. Its small claws flashed with golden light and sucked away the 3 brocade boxes. Then it immediately retreated and said, "Little beauty, don't tell them. Just say that we hit it off at first sight and I gave it to you. If you dare to say anything, we will fall out and go our separate ways." The corners of Yi Jianma's mouth twitched. His fingertips trembled. The broken flute in his hand emitted a monstrous golden light and a melody echoed. What? You want to hit me? This divine bird has followed my master through many trials and tribulations. Even an 8th-grade Kuei ox couldn't do anything to me. You dare to attack me? The parrot moved away from Yi Jianma and climbed onto a divine dipper tree. It hid under a branch and glared at Yi Jianma. Outside the canyon, flames streaked across the sky and crashed into the ground. The area within 100 miles trembled. Huge craters appeared one after another. It was extremely terrifying. Yi Qinghan was sweating profusely. His blood and bones emitted a golden light. His blood vessels and veins were bulging. He was so tired that he could not breathe. He knew that he could not continue tempering and had to rest. Otherwise, he would be easily killed by the meteorites. Even if he did not die, if Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning wanted to kill him, he would not have a chance to escape. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning had already retreated to the valley to recover their blood and qi. Their speed of improvement was much faster than Yi Qinghan. After all, their bodies were not particularly strong, so there was a lot of room for improvement. However, Yi Qinghan was different. His body was already very terrifying, so there was little room for improvement. Yi Qinghan held a piece of iron stone and retreated to the valley. He was going to use the iron stone to refine his right leg and forge his body into a peerless weapon. Looking at the countless meteorites, Yi Qinghan began to collect them in large quantities. These meteorites were definitely the best material to forge a 5th-grade combat weapon. After a few days, he would cut down a divine dipper tree and forge a 5th-grade or 6th-grade 7-foot berserker. It would definitely be harder and sharper than the berserker in his previous life. There was no life here, but there were treasures everywhere. Yi Qinghan was not anxious at all. In terms of body, Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning could not surpass him, so there was no need to worry about danger. At this moment, his realm was stuck between the Fate Palace realm and the 4th step of the Grotto Heaven realm. Yi Qinghan was not in a hurry. He wanted to lay the most solid foundation in the Grotto Heaven realm and be truly invincible within the same realm. At the very least, he had to surpass the combat strength of the same realm in his previous life. After tempering his body, Yi Qinghan collected some meteorites and retreated to the valley. He began to refine his true essence and sea of aura. His soul was constantly strengthening, and his combat strength was multiplying. The divine martial imperial codex in his consciousness appeared again. The chaotic land on the other side of the Sea of Bitterness rumbled and shook violently. Lightning flashed as if the universe was being reborn. The starlight was embellished, and the rules of the great Tao became clearer. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning were awakened by Yi Qinghan's current aura. They realized that there was a layer of golden light 10 meters around him, which kept them out and prevented them from getting close. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning's expressions turned even uglier. Once Yi Qinghan had the strength to crush them, would he really cooperate with them in order to keep his secret? If he killed them on this dead star, no one would be able to find out. Xiaolong region, Xiaolong sacred mountain. It was vast and undulating, and the aura of desolation filled the air. It was incomparably majestic, and the spiritual qi around it was extremely dense. If one could cultivate here, he could travel 1,000 miles in a day. It was definitely a holy land that countless practitioners yearned for. Tian Jizi, Jianya Zi, and the others flew across the sky and landed on Xiaolong sacred mountain. They were quickly stopped by several Tao masters. Oh, it's the two seniors from Jianya Valley and Taoist Lu Su. This Taoist is. The experts on Xiaolong sacred mountain saw several people rushing over. They were all big shots of Xiaolong region, so they did not dare to offend them. They hurriedly bowed and saluted. When they looked at Feng Sha, their pupils shrank. They could not recognize where this expert came from. Ask Nangong Yuanhong to come out and see me. Feng Sha said coldly. How dare you? How dare you call my region master by his name? The experts on Xiaolong sacred mountain were furious. They waved their hands to suppress Feng Sha. Get lost. Feng Sha waved his hand, and the evil qi filled the air. It shocked the entire Xiaolong sacred mountain and defeated several Tao masters. He shouted coldly, if I don't call him by his name, do I have to call him ancestor? Ask him to come out and see if he dares to let me call him ancestor. Several middle-level Tao masters did not even have a chance to resist. They were directly sent flying by his palm. The evil qi entered their bodies, and they spat out several mouthfuls of essence blood. They looked at Feng Sha in horror. Dragon 17:18, go and ask the region master to come out. Tell him that I have something important to discuss with him. Tian Jizi said in a deep voice. Senior, it's not that I don't want to give you face, but the region master specifically told us not to disturb him unless Xiaolong region suffers a destructive attack. Dragon 17, who was the leader, looked pale. He bowed and said. Nangong Yuanhong, come out. Feng Sha did not care so much. The region master of Xiaolong region was not the same as the region master of his star region. Moreover, Nangong Yuanhong was only in the immortal gate realm. He was a supreme existence in Xiaolong region. But in the endless universe, he was nothing. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.